Yeah, but I do believe in aliens, and of course they're out there. And come on, like just to wrap that up, go aliens,
Right.
pro alien. I want to believe.
Press start.
Guys, what's on the dark side of the moon?
Multiverse
Do we
or
know what's
whatever.
on the dark side of the moon? Or?
Transformers.
It's Transformers. I saw the movie.
One thing I do know for
Michael
sure,
Bay
this
told
is a
us.
fact. It's a fact. The Reapers are coming for us. We know that.
I
for
hope.
sure.
We could, dude. Can I be honest? We could use a reset.
Yeah.
We could really use one.
How long is this cycle really going to take? Come on.
Honestly, that's what COVID was, and it didn't.
We don't assimilate. We don't do any of that stuff. We just lie down and die.
Yeah, the Reapers are doing a poor job.
We had a good plague show up, and it just didn't do enough damage. It's gotta.
It was
gotta-
weak.
Our medicine's just too good these days,
That was weak. All right, guys. Well, we've got a game to play to kick things off for episode 115 here.
Yes.
And so I really like doing these Kahoot quizzes because it allows you to kind of track the answer and answer quickly on your own screens. So make sure you've got some kind of separate screen or something ready. And I'll
Phone
give you the
works too,
code
right?
here. And phone should work. Did you guys use it last time? I haven't tried it before.
I
I'm
did not,
assuming.
but-
I used the
okay.
phone last time. Yeah.
I'm assuming it works. So for those of you who are listening, I'll do my best to read the questions and the options, and then I know last time I kind of missed.
Yeah,
listing some of the
it's
answers,
only
but-
because we all answered so quickly on a couple of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me
No cheating this time, Jeff.
go in.
There was no cheating. I'm just really good at trivia.
Sure you
I'm
are.
sorry.
Sure you are.
You should see. There's a box office game that's similar to a Wordle where they give you a different thing every day and you have to guess it. They give you a week of a certain year and you have to guess the top 5 of the box office for that given week. And they give you, I think they only give you the studio or the distributor of who put out the movie. Was it Disney? Was it Fox? Whatever.
Oh, okay.
And you can unlock hints like actors, director, tagline, but that removes from your point total. So sometimes all I need is
God
one
damn
actor, and I'm in it, and I get it.
Tim,
Well,
can you
I'm
delete
saying,
that?
I'm good with
we're
trivia.
doing-
That's all
we're
I'm
doing
saying.
this
You want
over.
me to kick this person out?
Yep.
Power Llama? All right. All right. So if you're watching at home, we use the free version of Kahoot. And the idea here is there's a game pin. So I'm sharing my screen. Everyone. Oh, my gosh. Oh, wow.
No, so that's fine, but not.
Dan, what
Stop
are you
trying to
writing?
put curse words in your name, dude?
So Jeff used the nickname Bung Knuckle, and that was approved by Kahoot. But whatever Dan is writing, and we still don't know what it is not being approved. So it must be awful. It must be horrific.
I don't even know if they have filters for that, but they might. I mean, I don't know.
They might. So anyway, they type in the game pin that's listed on my screen on their own devices, and then the idea here is they'll see the question, or maybe quickly read the options, and select it. Dan, if you're logged in, okay, if you're using Chrome, and if you're logged in Chrome with your Google account, then that might be the issue. You might have to use.
I was just trying to do the same thing as apparently Kahoot really hates the word coochie. It just hates that word.
Pick a different word, you weirdo.
He's like dead set on making coochie. Can you spell
All
it
right,
with a
one more time.
K?
Third time's the charm, Tim. Get rid of fearless ostrich.
All right,
Just
fearless
put
ostrich.
KOOT8.
Kyle, are you seeing the pin and typing it in?
Yeah, I'm trying my best over here. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So anyway, the quiz this week, I'll give it an intro while you guys are trying to get your names and stuff going. It is on canceled video games. So it's a variety of questions around games that either have been officially or in some cases unofficially.
I'm gonna do so horrible at this. This is gonna be great.
So I tried to keep it for the most part like the well-known stuff. I tried to at least, or stuff that'd be relatively easy to guess.
That's good.
Cucky McCucker.
Yeah, see, why is that acceptable? Like, for fuck's
What do you mean? Because mine's like artistic, and I'm
Right, so-
I have a backstory. I'm like
For those of
part
you watching
Scotch
at
Irish,
home, Jeff has entered the game as Bung Knuckle, and Kyle has entered the game as Cucky McCucker. And
fuck off. You know what? Fuck this.
It's
Fuck
supposed
this.
to be McCuckerson, but it's not.
Just
it's not
whatever.
on-
Dan,
Yeah.
we're gonna leave it. I don't know what is going on with you?
Helpful
What's your
Bat's
name?
funny.
Helpful Bat 48.
I mean, all right.
is
I
Dan.
literally typed in poopy head. That's all I did was type in poopy head.
But Bung Knuckle is
Oh,
okay.
this is killing me.
What is this?
Oh my god.
What is
Good.
this?
This is really good.
My dog is so
Okay.
alarmed at my laughing.
Are you guys?
Are you
guys-
so happy, master?
Excuse me, trying to sleep. Excuse me, trying to sleep over here.
Stop
Like-
laughing.
I hate this website, Tim. I hate it. I hate
Oh
it.
my word. Well, I'm so sorry.
Don't be. The website's named a bung knuckle.
It sure is. It sure is.
Better.
yeah.
It might actually know who you are, and they're having a good old time denying all your names.
Apparently.
Could
Yeah.
be. They're in
All right.
cahoots.
So we're gonna get this thing started. We'll go to the first one again. The topic is on canceled video games. So here we go. Kahoot at home. All right. Canceled video game quiz. Here is number 1. Come on. Day One Studios, who made Fear, abandoned work on this game because THQ couldn't secure the rights to the character.
The character.
Mad Max, Spider-Man, Harry Potter, or Batman.
I don't know this one, but I'll
Day
guess,
One
I guess.
Studios, who
neither.
made the Fear games. That's kind of your clue. Abandoned. There you go. You guys all got it. Batman.
Wow.
Nice. It seemed obvious.
Yeah,
to me,
the
but...
fear thing was what made me fear me.
Yeah.
Fear.
I am the swear to me. We're the
Yeah.
bears and the rabbits.
So yeah, they apparently there's some footage out there. If you search for it, you can find it. I forget the name of it. There was even a subtitle for the game. Like they were making some progress on it, and then had to put the kibosh on it.
Wait,
'cause
is
they
that
couldn't
the,
find it.
I find it weird that THQ couldn't secure the rights for Batman. Like THQ at this time was pretty. They
It
were
might have
making
been.
money.
I think it was like mid 2000s. Is that when Rocksteady got theirs?
Or it could have been the Batman Begins like movie game. Maybe like the
Maybe.
license was,
There was
picked up by.
it was like
whomever.
a steampunk Batman game. Is it that one?
I think so. No, it wasn't
Oh,
that one.
what?
No,
Oh.
it wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was an
Ah.
incomplete one that was totally abandoned.
Okay.
I forget the name of it.
But there was I swear there was footage of like some kind of like like a prototype steampunk Batman game. Like
That
It
might have
was
been.
weird.
I mean,
might- I didn't look at all
want
the
to see
pictures of
what a Harry Potter game would look like from the Fear guys.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
that'd be pretty
too.
cool. Yeah,
The
I can see that.
Dementors.
Dark. You
Yeah.
play a
It's
Dementor.
it's the Dementors.
the
It's a Dementors.
You play as one of the Dementors.
All right, here's
Ooh.
number 2.
Rulamus.
Oh yeah, so
I just want to
first
point out I'm in
place,
first. I'm in first. I just want to point it out.
Kyle,
real cucky.
Kyle, then
I
Jeff.
know.
Dan. All right, here we go. Number 2. We got 10 questions here. Star Wars 1313 has never officially been canceled. What year was it originally announced?
Oh wow.
Was
Take
it
a trip
2007, 2009, 2010, or 2012?
Ooh, gosh.
What year was Star Wars 1313?
These are good
announced?
questions. 'cause
I
it's-
wanted to
it's
pick
really
green.
tough.
Yeah, I can't
Ah.
believe we all missed it. The
All right,
second
so
I
it
hit
was-
yellow, I wanted to pick green.
It was
God.
2012. No one got that one right. 2012. I actually included that because I didn't. I thought it was earlier than that, so I would have picked one of the
That
earlier
makes
Yeah, I
ones.
sense
thought so
because
too.
Disney
Yeah.
Disney acquired in 2012, and I remember this being announced like the same year. Like the second I hit the wrong button, I go, no,
Dang.
like your
Oh,
timeline was
man.
wrong. Because it was the
I was
same year
actually
it got
gonna-
announced.
I was actually the question was going to be what year was it officially canceled, and it actually never has been. They keep kind of teasing like, well, it's you never know.
It's
I
definitely
swear
dead.
it
Yeah.
No, but I agree with
How
you that
can
it's
it be
dead.
coming out if it's
Yeah,
dead?
no, but I agree with you too. Like,
They're
there's
not
never been
saying-
like we're not working on this game anymore. It's never
All
going to
the
come out.
all the official quotes talk about how like you never know, like in the future we want to hang on to the work, blah blah blah. Like it's very
They
nebulous.
should.
But-
Very Uncharted-y, very cool looking.
All right, here we go. Number 3. This game wasn't developing the way Blizzard wanted, so it was scrapped, but some concepts were used to create Overwatch.
I know. Oh, man.
Was it Project Titan, World of Warcraft 2, StarCraft Ghost, or Warcraft Adventures?
Yeah, I remember this project.
Project
Oh,
Titan.
really?
2 of you
Yeah.
got that one right.
No
Yep.
idea
I
what that
get.
is.
Mine was a complete guess. I just assumed.
Dan,
it
I
was
thought you and
complete
I was just like, Dan and I know this. Jeff wouldn't know this stuff. This is-
StarCraft Ghost is the only thing I remembered that forever they kept trying to make and it got.
I don't
canceled.
know how much you were gaming whenever like Project Titan was like a thing, Jeff. That's the only.
That was a
reason I-
big deal.
never
That was a
heard of it.
big deal for a little while there.
I only assumed it was a new property. That's
Yeah,
and
that's
the
fair.
other ones were not.
The,
new,
World of
that's-
It was
Warcraft
their new
2.
big MMO, right? Like that they were building
It
it to be
was.
like the next like WoW or whatever, and they totally abandoned it. Yeah.
But some of the hero concepts were used to create Overwatch.
Yeah.
Some of the ideas of
Ah.
the hero.
Oh, that's interesting.
World of Warcraft
And
2
we're
is
all
the
happy about that, right, guys?
WoW 2 is the only one on this
Yeah.
list that has actually not
It's
ever
an
been really
actual
worked
game.
on. The
Oh
other
well,
ones,
I guess it's World of Warcraft. Never mind. Yeah.
Warcraft Adventures and StarCraft Ghost were actually also projects from Blizzard that never saw the light of day.
Right.
So 3 of those were real. All right, so we've got Kyle still in first with Bung Knuckle in second place, and Helpful Bat bringing up third.
His bat's not very helpful.
No.
Justice League Mortal was a movie project that was canceled along with its video game tie-in. What genre was planned for Justice
wow.
League?
These are some obscure questions.
Dude,
Fighting,
I don't know this.
puzzle, brawler, or racing?
I don't know. I'm just
Justice
gonna
League
guess.
Mortal. Brawler, you guys all got it.
Eh,
Yeah, you guys all got it.
lucky guess.
Yeah, that was a weird one. Because apparently that movie got the kibosh. I don't know if that was like around the time when they started their plans for the DC universe or when that happened. It was mid 2000s at some point.
Was this the one George Miller was supposed to do? It might have
It
been.
was. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
whoa, okay, wow.
I'm
dude.
pretty sure that's what I read in
Okay.
the article about this one. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that George
I really don't remember anything about this project. I'm so surprised that
This
it
was
doesn't
like
it doesn't ring a bell at all to me.
before they even had Snyder on board and stuff. This was like, I don't know, early 2000s, maybe early 2010s. I don't know. It was like early 2000s, pre like Dark Knight taking over the world. I don't know.
Yeah, everyone got that one right. So still
Sweet.
same positions here, first, second, third. Here we
Man,
go.
this is not going to change. Ugh.
What popular
Kyle knows so
franchise
much
had a
about canceled
canceled
games.
project that was set to feature level building like Super Mario Maker? What
Oh,
franchise? Was it Sonic, Mega Man, Contra, or Crash Bandicoot?
Oh God, I really think I'm
Franchise.
wrong on this one, but yeah.
Oh,
okay.
man.
Yeah, I could have sworn
What?
I heard about a Sonic.
It
one.
was
Man.
Mega Man. It was Mega Man.
Alright.
So
Yeah.
Mega Man, it was called Mega Man Universe, and there was actually some pretty good progress made on it. And the idea was you can build an NES or SNES version of Mega Man levels, which, by the
I
way, I
remember
still love that.
this.
I still
Is-
want that.
Is that what the
I do
concept was?
too.
I don't remember hearing
Yeah,
about the
I
concept.
think you could choose the boss that like shows up at the end of it. Like
dude,
you
that
get to
would've been
choose,
so
like, from all
awesome.
the bosses. You get to like choose what.
I
theme-
still
like,
want
yeah,
them to
it
do
was-
this. I want
yeah,
them to do this. Yeah.
Hey guys, guess what?
Yeah.
We could get that once Capcom gets purchased by Sony whenever it gets announced
Yeah.
this summer at the
That's right.
summer game.
Dude, Capcom has just completely abandoned anything Inafune related. Like Mega Man's like
mad.
basically doesn't
I
exist.
heard that was a really ugly like breakup,
Oh
if you will.
yeah,
So,
no, absolutely.
much like
Well,
any
guys,
Japanese developer
we know
breaking up
that
to do this whole thing, it's
Cucky
always-
McCucker is on a roll right now.
Who?
He's
on
cucking real
fire.
hard. He's cucking real hard.
He's on fire.
So he's in first, and then Bung Knuckle second, Helpful Bat third. Here we go.
That's from
I just
Bung
love
Knuckle.
saying Bung Knuckle so much. Okay, what was the subtitle for the abandoned Daredevil game from 2003?
Oh my
Was it-
God.
Daredevil
No.
Black and White, Daredevil Dark Knights, Daredevil the Man Without Fear, or Daredevil the Movie? It was the Man
Knew
Without
it.
Fear.
The
The Man Without Fear. So I
That's his
actually
that is his subtitle.
I
is
actually
the
had to look
hero.
up some Daredevil comic subtitles to make this more difficult because I wasn't sure, like, I couldn't think of any to make up on my own. So Black and White and Dark Knights are both actually some
So
comic
the
series.
game getting abandoned, was that a result of the movie being complete ass, or because that was the same year the movie came out?
How dare you? The Ben Affleck movie. No, I'm sorry. I couldn't even get
No,
that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure why, but the game was bad. Like I saw some footage. I watched a little bit of a YouTube video of some released footage of like the very early alpha version of the game, and it was pretty bad even for 2003. It looked pretty
Damn.
rough.
Really quick sidebar. I begged my girlfriend on Valentine's Day to see this movie instead of seeing whatever dumb movie she wanted to see. And the second it ended, I go, "You should have saw your movie." I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I'm
All right,
really
guys.
sorry.
We're pretty close here. So Cucky's still in first, but Bung is just barely hanging on above Helpful Bat.
Bug
Nipping at
Bug
the
is
heels.
coming up from the rear.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate this condescending nonsense from Kahoot. All right.
So it's yeah, there's only like 100 points ish separating all three. So here we go.
Yeah. We
Cool.
yeah, good stuff.
Number
I knew Sonic
7.
wouldn't work with
It
three
sounded
people.
sarcastic.
The canceled Star Wars game Battle of the Sith Lords centered on this popular
Oh, come
villain,
on.
General Grievous, Darth
Come on,
Sidious,
guys.
Darth Plagueis, or Darth Maul.
Come on, guys.
I'm not gonna get it. I mean, I'm not a
The
Star
one
Wars guy.
game everybody
Damn
Oh
it.
my
wanted,
God!
man.
Thank God I
Damn
got
it.
it.
Well, you can.
Darth
Not
Plagueis.
surprising.
Dan
Not
was
surprising
like,
to me.
"Have you heard the
The
story
guy
of
who
Darth
likes Star Wars
Plagueis
the
the
least
Wise?"
got it wrong. That feels right.
Well, I mean that makes sense then, right?
Darth
Yeah,
Plagueis
that
the
feels
Wise.
right.
Have
Oh
you
my God.
heard the story of Darth?
Have y'all
Darth
seen this demo
Plagueis
footage? No, but
the
seriously, have y'all seen
Wise.
this demo footage of this game?
No.
It looks cool.
Oh my God, it looks so good. Like,
Yeah.
and they just released it like last year, or maybe it was during the pandemic, during 2020. But like, it was like it looked like it was finished. And I think if I'm
Right.
reading the articles right, it was like 60 to 75% finished. Like, it was
Oh.
right there. You know,
Dang,
like
dude, that's
that
So
code
the-
is just sitting there somewhere. You know.
So I don't
No.
think there was an official reason given, but most people say, hey, this is around the time when the Clone Wars cartoon was actually resurrecting him for a big storyline there. and so they actually decided to go.
Continued in the Rebels, I think.
They went in a different direction with his
I'd like
character.
to call foul here, all you fucking Star Wars nerds, and then the one normal guy who wouldn't have answered that correctly. Like,
I don't like any.
Like,
I don't
where's
like
my
any of
Final
the. I don't
Fantasy?
like the
Darth
words
Maul?
that you're
Final
choosing
Fantasy
or the
question.
order you're putting them in. I
I'd
don't
like
any of
to. I'd like to thank Dan for single-handedly getting our explicit tag on the episode this week.
oh, there's gonna be more. There's the story about the Balan Wonderworld later,
Yeah.
Tim. There's gonna be a lot of
Oh my
swearing.
Oh
in that
boy,
one.
Yeah.
can I save up all my f bombs for that? Page too?
This is not one to listen in the car with your kids, folks. All right. I think we're on number 8 here. Scalebound is being developed by Platinum Games and was described to be in this gaming genre. Was it adventure, action RPG, rail shooter, or turn-based strategy?
God, I am gonna get this wrong out of a super.
Okay.
Good. I thought it was gonna be some superficial, like
Action
Yeah.
RPG.
Because you
Action
can split hairs.
Actually, it was an adventure game because you're on an
Actually,
adventure
it was
because your
fantasy.
character's a fish out of water. Yeah.
No, it was actually very explicitly described as action RPG with upgrades and
God.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is an action RPG. So
All right, so
go watch that
heading
game.
to the-
That code is sitting somewhere too, guys, and that's like
Yep.
really finished too.
That looked a lot like done by a lot. Yeah, that looked almost done.
it did.
Yeah.
So we've got Cucky hanging on to that first place spot,
Man.
but listen, Bung Knuckle is on a streak right now. So we'll see what happens here. Dan, if you can answer correctly on this next 2, you'll take the lead. So let's see what happens.
Are they Star Wars questions?
Rockstar Games has never officially announced the cancellation of Agent. Do you remember what year that was officially?
I'm gonna miss this.
Jesus,
Yeah,
Tim.
this is
Was
too
that-
specific.
2007, 2009, 2012.
I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Yes!
2009, damn it!
It was it was 2009. 2009.
Uneasy Alliance, Dan. Come on, man. What happened?
for Agent.
I'm
All
just
right, let's
guessing
see
here,
what
bud.
happens here. Bung Knuckle has
Oh.
taken the lead. Guys, Jeff wins these every time.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can't handle this.
This is
Yeah.
bullshit.
You
This is
get
honestly-
everything. This is not based off of skill or knowledge.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is honestly nonsense.
He just clicks his favorite color first every time.
Hey man, hey bro, don't knock the strategy until you tried it. All right.
I need more variety
All right.
of questions next time. None.
Here we go. Silent Hills was a reboot of the franchise by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro.
Oh,
This
come on.
actor was attached to star Norman Reedus, Kiefer Sutherland, David Hayter, Uma Thurman. It was Norman Reedus.
I got it wrong.
Yes!
Damn it,
Yes!
Jeff. How'd you get?
Norman
Thank you,
Reedus.
Jeff.
Thank
I
you,
didn't
Jeff.
think that long ago. I didn't think Norman Reedus was a big deal. So
Yeah. Well,
I
that's
don't know.
why he ended up on Death Stranding because there was
Yeah.
that kind of overlap of that
It
relationship.
was those 3 guys actually continued to connect for.
I was
Yeah.
so close.
So
So close.
Dan, 3rd place with 6,052. Jeff just behind him just ahead of him with 6,143. And the winner with 6,233 is Cucky McCucker. Look how they're dancing. Little names are dancing. Come on. That's pretty funny.
Look at that cucker dance.
I just wanted to
Very
be
clunky
known that I
dance.
was number 1 for 1 round.
One
That
whole
was
round.
great.
you were
That was a
number one.
great feeling.
I just
All
want. I just want to remind everybody. I dominated that entire game.
I would
pretty
have
much
actually
did.
won if I got the Star Wars question right.
So
Or if you
Oh,
got
I
your
don't believe
name,
you,
if
sorry.
you got your name, the name you wanted, maybe you would have been like amazing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry you don't know about the most valuable property out there. I'm sorry, Dan.
yeah, it looks like the
popular
only one that
concept.
was marked
Sorry,
as
Marvel,
difficult was
That's
the
true.
Star
That's
Wars.
true.
Star Wars 1313 was marked as a difficult question because no one got that one right. But
That
other
one's
one-
hard, yeah. Again, the ones that are specific years, like you have to really put yourself, like I don't know, like I don't even know how you get those other than if
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
know it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well done, everybody.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
And
I love
man,
those.
I actually
Jeff, you're-
really like this game now, guys.
Jeff, you crushed it the first time. I thought you
You sound
had.
like Jeff.
I thought
I
you
was
had
so
something-
close, dude. I was so close. Oh my
Thought you had-
god. I thought Norman Reedus was also too obvious, so that's why I went with Kiefer. Because
I played maybe 20 hours of PT because I thought that game was a masterpiece. So
So
Yeah.
annoying that you can't
Speaking of-
re-download it.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Kojima and Kiefer, you guys remember from Metal Gear Solid 5? What did you think about his performance in that, or did it not really make a difference to you?
No, that was nonsense. Like, why did they pick Kiefer Sutherland? Like, David Hayter is Snake.
I
Like,
agree.
guys, I
Did it make a
really
difference to you?
Yes.
we don't. Yeah, we don't have time, man. We just want to gloss over this so bad, dude.
Kyle,
we
we have time.
really don't
Kyle,
need to go
no,
into this.
Kyle, we
Yeah,
have time.
My bad. That's my fault.
I think
That's my
Metal
bad.
Gear Solid 5 is a freaking, and I didn't use an F word, abomination. I think it's an abomination.
It's fun to
I
play.
think it's one of the greatest gameplay games ever. If you just want to
Okay.
jump in and shoot
Yes.
things, you will
Yes.
never find an experience that feels better than
Great
that game.
stealth, fun open areas.
If you showed up to play a Metal Gear Solid game,
Yeah.
you are very disappointed. And if you're not, you weren't a Metal Gear Solid fan. But I will say that I
So-
even crowned that game of the year, because when I was done beating that game, I was like, boy, I can't ignore like how great the gameplay was.
Oh.
But as time went on, I started thinking about like how Metal Gear Solid 4 ended and how Metal Gear Solid 5 like whipped out its phallus and just pissed all over its grave. Yeah, I got
Just
really mad. I started getting
old
really
Snake.
mad about it as like months went on. I'm just like, boy, this is obviously like
We were podcasting when we did like our top 10 games. Or
Yeah, I
whatever
give it
that
number
year.
one.
And,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was your number one.
But
And I was
I
like,
think if you
I was like,
remember,
oh,
when we
really?
were talking,
Yeah.
I felt really apprehensive. I was like, I have feelings about the end. You know,
Yeah.
like
So is it because I
well-
didn't play 4? Is that why I liked 5
Well,
and I
no,
thought
well,
it was a
first of
fun
all,
Metal
no,
Gear?
it's a
I
big
think you
boss.
like
It's not
5 because
even-
you like the gameplay,
Yeah.
and I mean,
Well,
I
Derek loves
can't
that game too, right?
I can't believe that you would say that the story in that game is good, because there's like no story in that game, and what's
Yeah,
there is
I wouldn't
nonsense,
say that the
so-
story was good. I would say that it was interesting enough. Like there was some, I liked the characters. I thought the characters
Yeah,
were all very interesting.
The character's
and
never the problem, man.
I kind of liked the twist at the end. I don't know. I guess I didn't think of it as how does this fit into the overall Metal Gear?
That's what it is. It's
So,
like
I
if
didn't
you're
think
not
about
carrying, and I know a lot of people whose first Metal Gear Solid game was Metal Gear Solid 5. All right, so let me just say that. So like when people
Yeah.
play it for the first time, there's not a lot of baggage you're bringing in from 1, 2, 3, and 4, because this is a
That's such
game
a bummer,
that's
though.
so
Yeah.
story focused that when you start playing 5 and they just start like, he's alive now and magic is real and the things that they made about nanomachines, like none of it
Magic
makes
is
sense.
real.
Like in 4 they explain everything through science and nanomachines and stuff like that, and in this game they're just like, yeah, whatever.
Well, also too,
Black holes exist and
but-
whatever.
But let's
It's like,
remember
it's the
too,
most
like the
nonsense thing.
timeline of Metal Gear Solid is all over the place, right? Because you
It
got
is.
1 and 2, which is Solid Snake. 3 is a prequel, so that's Big Boss.
Boss.
Then you go
Yeah.
back to Solid. Then you go back to Big Boss. So it's like all over the place.
It is.
Yeah,
Um,
5 year back, but this is not Big Boss spoilers or
Doesn't-
whatever. So
it's
yeah,
not?
that's-
Baker.
No, it's not. It's
See,
not
I
even
ne-
a.
so I never.
It's not even a
finished it,
nebulous.
Kyle.
It's
I never finished it. I finished
Okay,
the first.
You
there's
are
like a-
you are a guy called Medic, all right? Spoilers from Metal Gear Solid 5. You're a guy called Medic who was given heavy plastic surgery to look like Big Boss,
Yeah.
and then go out and create all these war crimes.
You don't know that till the end, though, right?
Yeah, you don't know that till the
Like
end.
the very,
if
very
you
end,
get
right?
the second ending.
If you at the second ending,
Because the
you
thing
actually
is when
see
you
the
beat
real
this
Big
game,
Boss.
when you beat the first act,
Or
there's a
Snake.
second act of story, quote unquote.
That's
It's
what I
actually,
didn't finish.
It's
I didn't
actually
finish
just the
second.
first act with different mission parameters over the same missions, because again, Kojima was fired halfway through this game, and Konami was like, we're gonna still siphon money out of the fans out of this one.
Dude, do
and
you
it
think
worked.
Kojima had a version that had a coherent, awesome Metal Gear
Yeah.
story that he was going to launch, and as soon as
Tim,
he had a backup version that was this,
Tim, are
and he
you
was
asking
like,
me this or?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yes, 1,000%.
And he
yeah.
was like,
did
"Oh,
Kojima
you're gonna
have a plan?" Yeah, yeah. I promise you, he did. Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, you guys are never making a sequel to this. I'll make sure of that."
He's definitely a very grandiose like director of games, but like,
I
yeah,
think-
he, you know,
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, when you play Ground Zeroes, which is a full Kojima experience or whatever,
Yeah.
I played that game and I go, Metal Gear Solid 5 is going to be the greatest game of all time, because I felt so confident about it, and boy.
Yeah. the beginning
'cause
of
Metal-
5 is cool. The beginning is cool in the hospital.
There's a lot of
and-
things about 5 that
I
are
think
cool.
the whole
There's
thing
a
is
moment
cool,
where everyone
but-
gets sick and you have to go in and like kill your own soldiers, and it's
Yeah.
supposed to be emotional, but you don't really care because the game is garbage. But like if that moment existed like in a real in a real story that like made sense, like it would really be impactful, you know.
Yeah.
Tim,
Um,
have you played the previous ones? Like, have you experienced
Only-
the whole series, or?
I have only not played 4, and I haven't played any of the
Okay.
spin-offs like Rising or
I
whatever.
will say that like
Sure.
there's enough like grief against
Revengeance,
4
is
being
that one?
too like
Yeah.
fan fiction that like people were like way too much fan service, hated this game. So,
So, yeah,
I
played-
get that there's criticisms for Metal
played
Gear Solid
1
4 as
several
well.
times on the
Okay.
PS1. Played the GameCube version, so I love 1. I've only played 2 start to finish once, although I've dabbled again, over the years here and there.
Yeah.
I know people love it. It's fine. It's just not my favorite. And
2's the most hated in the series, actually. So it's my
Oh,
favorite.
okay.
But
Is
I
it
thought- I
really?
thought-
yeah,
I thought
2
it
is my
was-
favorite. It's the most.
It was
hated in
actually
the
my
series.
first one.
Still
It
thought it
was
was,
Was
a good
it? Yeah,
game.
it's
Yeah,
actually a lot of
good.
people's first one. Yeah,
And
PS2.
then I've
you know,
Played
launch
3
game,
start
so.
to finish twice. I loved 3 as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
3 is everyone's favorite.
So
if
then I
if
played
was reading
5.
the room.
And I couldn't tell you if you tried to make me connect the dots of the storyline other than some characters here and there. But I guess I wasn't really looking for that, and I thought the game itself was still excellent as its own thing. So, but I
Great
understand.
gameplay. Great
I
gameplay.
understand that the connection to the Metal Gear Solid universe was not there. I get it. I still
don't-
loved it though.
Kiefer Sutherland is not like, I don't know why you would make him Big Boss. To go
He's
back to your original
David Hayter
question.
is Snake. Like that's
They had a
just-
big falling out. Him and Kojima hate each other. David Hayter.
do
they
they
hate each other. Yeah, they're a major, gigantic falling out between those two actors. And I
That
think it was
sucks.
fueled by Konami. I think Konami made Kojima fire. And I've looked into this a lot, so like I'm telling you like theories, but it's created through subtext and like messages stuff like that like Kojima shared in interviews and stuff like that.
That sucks.
And it seemed like Konami made Kojima fire David Hayter because they wanted to appeal and sell more games to a Western audience. And at that time, 24 was just ending. And Kiefer Sutherland was like the biggest secret agent type American actor like working.
But that's not.
They hired him on to like play Big Boss, but David Hayter already played Big Boss in the game.
Right.
Before. But then you get the Weasley stuff where it's like, well, that's not Big Boss, that's Medic or whatever. But like, you're not supposed. Okay, I'm done talking about this game. It makes me angry.
I am so
That's a
sorry.
bummer, though.
I
No,
apologize.
I'm glad I got this out. You know, my therapist will have a much easier.
I
weekend.
mean, but if that's definitely true though, like Kojima, like what a child. Like you've let this guy play this character. This
but it wasn't his
iconic
choice.
character.
Konami had their hand. Like Konami makes
Well,
the
sure,
absolute
but,
end
like,
decision on
Just
everything.
be an adult and let him kind of finish the.
I feel like if I'm reading it correctly, Kojima did reach out to try and apologize, but David Hayter was like not hearing it. He's like, I
Sure.
don't want to hear it, man.
Yeah.
You should have been again, it's just one of those things where it's like we'll probably never know what really happened, but like,
Yeah.
we'll
It's
never
just
know
that voice, man, is just so. It's so
Best in the business,
iconic.
man. He is Solid Snake.
Yeah.
If they reboot the series and it's not him, what are we doing here? So
I do like that that game allowed all of us, even as young teenagers and college age guys, to say the name Solid Snake without giggling. I mean, we did a good
Yeah.
job. In
Sure.
you did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody. Well, listen, speaking of games that have an impact, Sleeping Dogs is something I'm playing right now for my backlog Hall of Shame. And that game, dude, that's telling a really strong story. Like it reminds me a lot, I was telling you guys this in the chat, of the Mafia games. So I understand the comparison to GTA. GTA was kind of the godfather of all things open world, especially in a modern open world, with stealing cars, all that stuff. I get that. So of course it takes cues from GTA, but I think I'm getting much more Mafia vibes as I play this, just because, yes, there's open worldy things to do. There's icons on the map, same as Mafia, but you feel very driven to try some of the side stuff, but really go down this main storyline because there's some intriguing stuff happening. That's what the Mafia games were to me. I would try a couple side missions here or there, but in general, they guide you down a pretty strong main storyline. So, and then some of the story elements are actually very Mafia-like. Without spoiling anything, there's some major deaths and some major shootouts during what should be a happy events and stuff like that. That I was like, dude, this feels very much like a scene in like Mafia 2 specifically. So I'm really digging it. I think I'm, according to how long to beat, I'm about at the halfway, maybe just over halfway point in the game because I've done a good amount of side stuff. But I love it. And it has better melee combat than any modern open world game at least has had.
Yeah.
I love the hand-to-hand stuff. Like when the guns come out, it's not bad. It really isn't bad, but it's not good either. So it's kind of like, all right, let me just shoot my way through these guys.
When my
quick.
guns come out, there better always be something I can jump over, so I go into slow motion because that's
I like that.
That's the part I like. But everything else, yeah, I'm like, all right.
I like that. I like the slow-mo stuff, and I like that you can upgrade all that. You can upgrade, how long the slow-mo lasts and all that kind of stuff, which is
Just cool skill trees, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I really dig it. But in general, I just want to do the hand-to-hand combat. I think that's fun. So I like it a lot. A lot of it's very cheesy too. Like a lot of it feels like really dumb storylines that they make you do, or they have there for you to do if you want to. Like obviously your main character has these little social options where he can essentially take these random female characters on dates who are all very shallow and empty characters, if I'm being honest with you. And that's okay. They really build out other characters, so that's fine. But the ones you take out on dates, I didn't realize that like you're hooking up with all these girls and pretending to date each of them. I didn't know that. I thought he was just like getting some social time in, and it would like actually build his what's called face meter, which allows you to unlock more stuff to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I was. To me, it's like easy face meter missions where you can build up that level. But anyway, at one point you start getting phone calls and messages from a girl that you went on a date before. Like, I can't believe you went on a date with this girl. Like, they're mad at each other for you like sleeping around and stuff. Just like
I
this
don't
game
remember
didn't-
that.
This game really didn't build out any kind of dating thing where it's like pick which girl you want to date. It's just here's the next mission and go, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's your social missions.
GTA 4, I think, was exactly like that too, where it's like you could just call someone and go on a date with them, but they would never like butt heads like they do in this game, which is kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So, so some of that's a little bit silly. The karaoke is very silly, but also fun too.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
a very silly little game where these lines are going across and you have to like hold it in the right spot to hit the right notes. And he actually goes off key if you go to the wrong spot. You
Yeah,
know, and
yeah.
people kind of go like, oh, like, so it's, I don't know, man. It's good. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Nice.
And the upgrades are a blast too. So this has been a fun one to knock off the backlog. I think probably this coming week.
Have you been
unless
changing your costumes at all by chance?
a lot? Yeah.
So the DLC costumes obviously have like different like specials, sometimes even completely different move animations.
Oh, that wasn't in the original game.
No, not at all. No, this is definitive edition stuff. So it's like there's like a Wing Chun outfit where it's like
Yeah.
you're a Wing Chun master. You know, there's a drunken outfit.
There's stuff
you know?
from movies and
Nice.
from
Yeah.
other games. There's stuff
Oh,
dude, that
yeah.
you can use the guy from Deus Ex. You can use what's his
Oh,
name?
really?
Yes, yeah, you're wearing what's his name? You know, a totally amazing
The main
hero
guy.
that everyone knows, Jensen,
Jensen,
Mark-
yeah, right, Jensen.
Jensen.
right.
Random
Leroy Jenkins.
random white guy with beard that Tim and I like really get into the characters of.
I really relate to him. So Adam Jensen. That's his name. Adam Jensen.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, you can have all those characters,
Yep.
like or not characters, but costumes.
And
It's
you
kinda
can, there's
interesting.
a Bruce Lee costume, and a lot of them have some kind of bonuses. Whether it's like the one I'm wearing right now, kind of looks like something Ip Man would wear. I don't think it was licensed from Ip Man.
That's the one I wore the entire.
But
yeah,
it
most
has
of them,
it
yeah.
makes the counter windows much longer. So like
Yeah.
anytime someone's attacking you, you actually have it almost feels like a whole full second additional time.
Yeah,
to hit the
if you're
counter.
missing those combos at that there or those counters, yeah, you're not good at the game, I guess. But yeah, that
Agreed.
totally expands, you know,
Agreed.
those sections.
So as soon as I put that on, I went back and did the Fight Club stuff, which I was having a little trouble with, and I didn't get hit once because I could counter
Yeah,
everything.
I
It
bet.
was
I
awesome.
bet.
It was great. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad you're liking this game, man. I think
I'm loving it.
we're all I think we're all enjoying maybe some of the games we're playing to some extent, but it sounds like you're enjoying your game the most. If I'm not
I've
mistaken.
always known I would love this game. I never truly gave it a try. And I got to tell you, the definitive edition looks remarkably good for a game that's, what is it now, 10 years old, right? 2012?
I played it
2011?
full all the way through from start to finish just last year. So and
Okay.
Jesse White in our group and I were talking about it. We're like, this is maybe the most underrated game ever. Like,
It's really good. And
it really needs a sequel, and I think it would sell very well because I think there's a lot of underground love for this game. I think a lot of people found this game at some point, you know.
If they could
And
keep the
there's-
hand-to-hand stuff like high quality and then like
Yeah.
have it look really nice and kind of
Mhm.
expand on those ideas.
Continue
like,
to
add
make
some
it
stuff.
Arkhamy, you know, but like again, like upgrade the
Yeah.
animations, add 1,000 of them, you know, like it just I
Yeah.
think you could really
like
make this
Sifu
game
style,
special.
but like a little more
Yeah.
approachable, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
No, I dig it. There's a mission where you can go. It's called the Shaolin Showdown, and you show up, and they don't give you any explanation. And a lot of the missions in this game, they don't explain anything to you. You go to a point, something happens, and either someone's attacking you, or you attack them, or you're just racing. Now they don't say anything. So like, that to me is a little sign of it being dated, but I don't mind it. It just don't give me any kind of exposition. Just throw me into the thing you want me to do. So the Shaolin Showdown, I show up, and there's just 5 monks standing there, kind of like getting ready to fight me. They're like, you know what I mean? Like they're getting ready to fight. I don't know why. I didn't do anything to
know
them.
why.
They didn't do anything
Because
to
they're
me.
Shaolin monks, Tim. That's why you
And
gotta
so
beat 'em
they're
up.
just ready to fight, and they're all wearing their like, their toga looking outfits. And like, all right, let's do this thing. And so you fight them, and you beat that group. There's like 5 of them, and you go down the stairs. You fight 5 more. You go over to this like fountain. You fight 5 more, and you go back up, and there's one guy standing there, and you think, oh, must be the boss of this little mission. So I'm gonna go fight this guy. He's probably gonna be stronger. But he says something, and then all of a sudden, out of the temple come like, I'm not kidding, it's 40 guys, because at the bottom it
Yeah,
says,
I know
it says,
exactly the
kill
mission
0
you're
out of
talking about.
40, or maybe it's 50, but it says you've killed 0 out of, it was either 40 or 50, and they all surround you, and I was like, what is going on? And then all of a
Dude,
sudden it
yeah.
tells you that your attack power has been increased significantly.
So they're going down a little easier.
And
but
so now it's one hit kills. So I was just like kicking and it was
Yeah.
so fun. I was
That
just
reminds me of was it
hit-
Protector with Tony Jaa?
Yes, I felt very
Yeah,
much like I was in one of
absolutely.
those movies because, again, it's a dated game, but when you get into a flow, the fighting looks really cinematic and cool. The way you're flipping around and countering, and like when that fight finished, I was like, that was so easy, but man, was that cool.
There's 2 pieces of DLC to this game, Tim. One's kind of longer and one's a little shorter, but the one I really suggest you do is, and I forget what it's called, but it's an Enter the Dragon style tournament. And like
Okay.
you go through this whole like tournament story.
Kyle
you go
loves
to an
tournaments.
island. Yeah, you know me, Dan. I love tournaments.
you do.
Yeah, of all types. Yeah, so like, and it's really cool because it's just like it's hardcore Enter the Dragon like nostalgia and stuff like that. So like and you're fighting different types of characters with different types of fighting styles. Maybe you're fighting a few different people at the same time. It's just the game just keeps on giving, man. It's really crazy how and it's like longish, it's not like 100 hours or anything, but you could clock in 30 hours in this game pretty easy.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it looks like the main storyline of the game is in the 14-hour range, 13, 14, if you just do mainline story.
This is like completionist run for sure. Yeah, the main story run is pretty short, which main story has got a good story. There's a lot of goofy stuff like going on in the side stuff. Like the main story is like a real interesting Hong Kong, action type of movie.
Totally.
Tropey for sure. You've seen the story 1,000 times, but like still it's well executed and
yes, there are several moments
like
that I actually. There are several moments. I'm playing this game, of course, by myself, usually at night. It's very violent, and so it's not one that you play in front of the kids. And I think there's been 3 different times where a major plot point happened, and before it happened, I was like, oh, he's about to shoot that guy, or like this is about to happen at this scene. Yeah. Like you could just see it coming, but it doesn't bother me at all. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
So I'm digging it. I don't know if it's fine if you haven't. Have you guys played any more of your backlog games that you're working on before we talk about new stuff?
I had every intention to play Zelda tonight, but ended up watching Two Towers instead. So, sorry.
I mean, that's a better option.
Priorities. That's a better option.
Yeah, sorry guys. It's in 4K and HDR, so it was pretty nice. So
he fell. He fell.
And
he fell.
That's your line.
And Jeff has not played BioShock.
Explaining that he fell, what he fell means.
I am BioShocked that you haven't been playing BioShock. Yeah.
I mean, I've been busy with the Eiyuden Chronicle, so.
Yeah, and by the way, if you haven't, go check out on a YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, go check out the live stream or the gameplay stream that Dan did. The hope is to maybe do some live streams in the future, but we're trying to get up some gameplay clips as well for folks like us who want to just see the game in action. And so we've been doing that. Dan has been doing that recently, so thank you for doing that.
Of course.
So that means no Mass Effect Andromeda either, because you hate that game.
Yes, absolutely. I hate space. There's no such thing as aliens.
Not in that. I mean, they're not in that game. That's true.
Not in that game.
They don't exist. They're not.
No.
Oh, Dan, actually, you're the aliens in that game. Sorry. That was your. That was your thing earlier. I'm sorry.
Call back. Say,
who's the real alien here?
It's all full circle. Get back full circle.
All right, let's talk about new stuff that's come out, or stuff, newer stuff that we're playing right now. Dan, you mentioned Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. I want to talk about this one first. This one is published by 505 Games, but began as a Kickstarter, for those of you who forget. The full game is I shouldn't say full game. The main RPG that originally birthed this whole thing is Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. And the idea is it's a team of folks with amazing backgrounds in games like Suikoden, and there's other games too. You can go look it up. There's a bunch of other studios that they worked for. And the idea was, let's create a spiritual successor to the Suikoden, especially 1 and 2 games. And the Kickstarter just blew the doors off. Like if you were too slow, you couldn't support it because they had to turn it off after a little while. They're like, we have nothing else we can add to this game with the money you're giving.
I'd be like, keep giving me your money.
So they wanted to stop that, develop the game, and then make money off the game, which makes sense. So anyway, all that to say, one of the Kickstarter goals was they're going to do a side-scrolling action kind of spin-off or prequel game. That was one of the goals, and they hit it. And so this is that game. It's called Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. The full RPG game is supposed to come out in 2023. This one is now out on all platforms, including on Game Pass, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And it kind of, if you ever played any of the Vanillaware games, it kind of has that vibe a little bit, when you first look at it. But it's
simpler
really,
gameplay-wise.
That's a really good comparison, to be honest.
Yeah, visually, it kind of has it's 2D, but not 2D at all. Really, it's just kind of looks deeper, but it's very much a straight up side-scrolling game. But anyway, I think the visuals are amazing. This is exactly what I wanted.
Even the character drawings, in the talkie scenes, I thought.
Right. They're really detailed. Yeah, they're very detailed.
Yeah, very detailed. 100%.
Yeah, and they really do a good job of kind of showing you, here's an important character you should care about, because they give them their own little intro screen.
Yeah, the little portrait. Yeah.
Yeah, with a little detailed description. And I'm assuming, and they've already said this, a lot, if not all of these characters are going to be important in the main RPG game.
Right.
But for right now, they're focusing on a small group, and I'll let you guys talk about it a little bit too, because I've talked a bunch. But I like this game a lot. But I want to hear from you guys. Who else is playing it?
I don't know how far you guys have gotten into it. I'm at about the part where I just unlocked I think it was the item shop. So I'm about there, which is for people who aren't familiar with the Suikoden series, that's actually a pretty common thing. Aside from recruiting just a bunch of characters, which is super awesome, like it's one of my favorite JRPG things. Building towns. Just upgrading towns, just building towns.
If you have a town, if you have a hub, I'm all in.
Dude,
you know what I mean?
like
That's gaming 101 for me.
Yeah, I eat that shit up, dude. More games need to do that. It's so
and they
fun.
know it because when you build the new thing, not only do they give you this charming little animation of this same guy who keeps building all the houses, which is hilarious to me. But also they know you want to upgrade this? Cool. We're going to give you missions as you go along, because I'm actually in round 2 of upgrading. I think I've got most of the buildings built now. And now I'm going through the new missions open up as you progress in the game, where there'll be a new little blue exclamation point over their head where it's like, now I need this. And then as soon as you do that, it'll say new items are available in the shop or new upgrades are available for your weapons. And not only do I love building up a town, but then the ability to upgrade it. And listen, it's linear style town building and upgrading. Like you don't get to pick where to place the building, and you're not doing that. Okay. You're not doing that, but you are going through this story where you're like, oh look, they added a thing. Oh, now I have access to that. Like it just that.
It's just visual progression that's just like satisfying and addictive, because like you're working towards it. You're literally seeing what you're working towards, and you're helping this sort of raggedy, just broken down town, because they've had was it earthquakes happening and so everything's kind of like in shambles.
Like Suikoden 2,
for sure.
Suikoden 2 had one of the best feelings I had in a game of this type of thing, because there's a long mission, a huge dungeon where you go through this castle that is overrun and crumbling and falling apart, and at the end is this major vampire enemy. He's a pretty major enemy in both the Suikoden games, actually, for a character named Victor. And so you fight this guy, I won't say exactly what happens, but anyway, he's gone and the castle's now empty, and your compatriots basically say, we should set this up as our base of operations, and it's a wreck. So over time you start recruiting characters, and then a certain wing of the castle will now look a little bit better, and they've set up their little kitchen there, and then the certain wing will look a little better, and this guy set up his blacksmith shop down here. So like as you recruit characters, all of a sudden new little hubs will pop up around your castle, and you might not even know it. You'll just walk by, you're like, oh, I didn't know that he was a shop owner. That's cool. Like your castle's just being improved. Dude, that feeling.
The Normandy is a good modern day example, or pseudo modern day example of that, where it's just like,
I agree.
Maybe you're not building things, but you're I upgraded my lasers, I upgraded my shield. Like there's a sense of progression going on with your Normandy, and as you pick people up, they show up on your ship, and like there's something about that feeling that's just I don't know. It feels great. Like that's one of my favorite additions about the New Horizon is like, oh my God, there's like a hub here, and I get to talk to all my buddies. Like, there's just something about that where it's okay to just the plot and everything can slow down for a second. You can kind of get to enjoy like this space that's yours with your comrades or your crew or whatever, And it's one of my favorite. I don't know. Mechanics in a video game.
Yeah, so. I think Chrono Cross did this too, but you can tell when it's an important character, and maybe even one you can recruit when you talk to them, and beside their text bubble is their little image. I think Chrono Cross is the same way, but in Suikoden 1 and 2 especially, and I think this game's doing the same thing. If you see their little portrait beside their thing, it's like, ooh, are they going to join my team, or are they a major villain? Like they're important for some reason. So I always loved that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the town building mechanic. And you're right, this game is very simple. It's much more simple than like the Dust game. What was that one called? From Dust? Or some of those Vanillaware games are much more challenging and complex. This one's really simple and honestly really easy, and I'm good with it. I've played a lot of difficult games recently, and I am loving just flying through.
Are you dodge rolling in this game, Tim?
There's no there's a dodge, but you don't roll. There's no roll.
So like it starts off like super simple. Which is what I was reading in this one review, but they said they do kind of add some layers to it, which once you recruit like the second character, which I mean, we've seen the images of him. He's literally like this, like just kind of super tall kangaroo dude.
He's like a Jack Kangaroo guy, yeah.
And he practically has like a Buster sword. Like it's just this massive sword. His name is Guru. So that's creative, right?
Kang.
Kang.
Guru.
So
I get it.
I mean, whatever.
I don't get it at all.
I'm uninstalling this game now.
I don't get it. But yeah, I actually think the writing's pretty decent, right? Like the banter between the characters is actually pretty fun. Like you can feel the personality because there's no voice acting, unfortunately, which usually bums.
I'm good with that, man. Sometimes voice acting can ruin it. Sometimes
it can, yeah, no, absolutely. I prefer that because then when it is good, it's just more engrossing for me that I can kind of just watch what's happening instead of having to read it. But
I'm hella dyslexic, so I want voice acting all the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel you. That's fair.
I feel you. But yeah, no, the character, because I just have him so far. I haven't recruited the what's her name? Is it Aisha or?
It's either Aisha or Isha because they
So
don't talk.
There
So we
are
don't know.
more without. I don't know if this is a spoiler. Are there more than just the two characters that you?
There's at least I think there's 3 total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, she's like the 3 of them are basically kind of like on the main images that they've been showing for the game, like the artwork.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
So I haven't recruited her yet, but yeah, the sort of when I recruited him, then I kind of learned the sort of switching of them, like switching in the middle of like a combo, which is kind of cool. So that like added a little extra layer, and I just upgraded my weapons. So now he can do like a counter, I think it is. And what does she do? I think like a double jump, maybe.
Well, if you upgrade her armor, she does a double jump now.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely like some layers added to it. You just have to, be a little patient with it, and once they kind of start implementing that extra stuff, and you're doing the upgrades, which again, part of the progression. And
what do you think about the simplicity of the missions? It's like go gather 5 mushrooms. And you're like, all right.
I mean,
took like 2 seconds to do that.
Yeah.
And you're back. Are you cool with that? Do you like that?
The fast travel is convenient, so that makes it a little less.
That's true.
Little less annoying, but it is mundane. It's just, that's typical JRPG nonsense, right? Like, I mean, even like, remake.
It's like a fast version of it, though, right? Like you don't.
Yeah.
I don't have to walk as much as I have in other JRPGs.
Yeah.
I feel like.
But it's definitely something that, like, I don't know, as like just the years go on, like even 7 Remake just had stuff like that. And it's like, guys, like, can we just be a little more creative? Like, I'm fine if you have way less side quests. Just make them a little more interesting, Yeah. Just make them a little more interesting.
It is a good feeling when it's a simple quest, like, I don't know, I need 10 lumber for this thing. I'm like, sweet, I've got like 30 because
you already have it.
Yeah. So here you go.
Yeah.
Mission over.
Yeah.
I do like that. The combos that you do, especially when you add that 3rd character, it's really cool because you're still kind of fighting as one character, sort of, because depending on it's kind of like light attack, heavy attack, ranged attack is really an elemental attack. It's really kind of what it becomes.
Okay.
And it's just really creative the way they do that. And by the way, they have this, what I thought was kind of charming and silly. At the very beginning, you're trying to get your explorer permit, so you have permission to go down and kind of tomb raid, basically. And they give you this card you got to fill out with these stamps, almost like a Subway sandwich stamp card kind of a thing, And so you're getting stamps, and then she's like, "How do you get stamps?" Well, you got to help people around town. I'm like, everyone in town has a stamp. Like,
yes.
Can I just get a stamp and just stamp my card? Anyway, so you start, and then after a little while, it's like a 3 rows or something, and it's like, am I going to really fill this whole thing out? Well, the story progresses without you filling the whole thing out. So I started to feel like, what's the point of this stamp card? But every side mission you do, they still give you a stamp. I discovered, because now I'm on what's called the gold card. It's like they've added more rows, but I finished that first card. I finished that first card, and it actually upgraded the way that I fight. So now I can do 3 combo attacks with my characters.
That makes sense.
So it actually does do a ton of damage. Like when I was fighting one boss and you only do 2 combos, then you have to kind of run away until that little meter fills. It's not a meter, but you can kind of hear noise.
Yeah, the indication.
And you can do combos again. Well, now you can do 3. So basically, when I was just using 2 character, it was like 2 or 3 hit combo, switch to the strong guy, switch right back to the girl, switch right back to the strong. Like you can just keep switching back and forth like 3 times. So I like it because it's simple, and man, is it easy, and I'm really digging that. It does get a little harder. Like I'm in the snow area, been there for a little while, and the enemies are much tougher, but it's still an easy game, which is good.
Yeah, and I mean it's on Game Pass, like you had said. Otherwise,
if you don't have Xbox, it's cheap. It's $14.99.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
not a big burden.
Yeah, it's a steal because the game is much better than a $15 game.
I agree.
Yeah, Jeff, you haven't really talked much. You sounded like in the chat you really were liking it.
Yeah, I really liked it, but
what's your takes on it?
I had a busy week, so I really didn't get much more. Like once they gave me the pass, and said, "Cool, you can go explore." I got to the mine, and that's
Okay.
when I saved and closed it.
I got to the stick. Hey, you got your stickers. I'm like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I got it.
I did like what I played though. Again, like the vibe. I think you kept on calling it charming, Tim, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it's very, 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 very cool and very unique.
I think this is a nice like because again they were able to get this out before the I guess main game.
Yeah.
And I think it's a nice indication of what they're going to be capable of doing as far as like the vibes of the world and like the type
Is
of
it going to be
characters.
turn-based though? Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
is the main
yeah,
game
yeah.
going to be turn-based? Okay,
Yeah.
all right, cool.
The main game from the footage that we've seen is like the Suikoden 1 and 2 games where you had 2
That's what I
rows.
thought I
You
remembered.
have 6
but then
characters.
When this game came out and like it wasn't that way, I was like, what's going on here? Like,
Yeah,
am
this is just
am I
like a
mixing
spin-off,
up
like,
games
prequel
or-
thing.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
never
this
gonna
was-
play the main game. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, right. You're gonna die on the hill. The prequel is the best version.
You know what's cool is that as a major Suikoden fan, like I've played through the first game probably 4 or 5 times. The second game, I don't know how many times, like way too many for how big of a game it is.
Yeah, three
even-
was my jam. Yeah.
Even the little
3,
symbols for the types of, I love 3 too. Even little symbols for the types of stores, like the rune store or the armor store, or there's a trading post. Like they're just straight up using the same symbols that you saw.
Oh, I wouldn't remember that. That's awesome.
They're
that
not
you remember
even
that.
like
Cool.
it's kind
They're
of
not
like
hiding it.
they're not hiding it at all. Like we are making the game
Good.
that I'll love.
I mean, yeah, Konami can go to hell. So I mean,
So I totally dig it. There is some magic stuff that gets added later as well, where you can add these things called rune lenses, and so you'll get that when you get to your I think it's kind of the second main boss. And then you can infuse that with a different element, so like earth, fire, water, wind, that kind of thing. So you can infuse it, and it's kind of Pokemon or Fire Emblem style, where like certain types beat another type, but it's
Okay.
strong against another
Sure.
type. So you can slot one in either the attack or defend equipment area. So you can decide, if I do attacks, I want everything to be earth attacks. But then maybe if you're fighting enemies that are strong against that, you might want to swap that back out. So they're adding what I feel like are a little bit surprising layers of strategy and upgradability. I wasn't expecting
That's
that.
cool.
I thought it would be much more simple and straightforward, which it was, and it is. But they're adding these layers. I'm like, oh, now I can
Yeah.
add different elemental attacks, and they're adding all these kind of combos. And I just upgraded my weapons again, where now I can do a slice up or a slam down. Like
so there
Pretty
is
cool.
something there. It's not
Yeah,
just straightforward
cool.
slash.
they
you know,
put
like,
effort into this thing, man, and I love
Well,
it.
it's more than just a prequel that's introducing characters. It sounds like it's a real game.
It's its
So that's
own
cool.
little story. Yeah, absolutely. So I really dig it. So I'm playing that one along with.
You guys mentioned the easiness, the simplicity of the game, and that's very welcoming to me right now. I feel like, I don't know, I'm still, for whatever reason, it was a month ago, even though Horizon, like I beat it or whatever, that was a pretty involved game, and this one's not that involved. This one is, you mentioned the linearity. You mentioned it being linear, whereas like I'm so used to just backtracking and going, okay, is this area open yet? Okay, what's over here? And this game is like, no, you don't need to do that. Just follow the main goal for now. And
It's a great palate cleanser. This game.
Yeah, it's very refreshing that way, because I feel like I was in like a habit of like, you give me this map, and I'm gonna want to explore every nook.
I gotta explore it. Yeah.
Whereas the beginning of this game is not like that. It's like, no, go do this first, and then you'll unlock the things that you're looking at.
yeah, telling you what to do.
All those metal flowers everywhere in beginning of Horizon. It's like, what is this? And they don't let you
What does this
unlock it
mean?
till like 2/3 into the game. You
yeah,
finally.
yeah.
It's like, stop letting me find that stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
So
And then
Tell me where to go
she
unlock
would
it.
comment on it every single time. She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's a metal flower over here. I can't do anything about it." It's
I
like,
need a
yeah,
different tool for this. Oh god.
Yeah, no
Like,
shit,
That's my
Aloy.
Aloy. Oh
I
god,
can't-
what do I do here?
I can't put that in my stash.
That won't be in my stash.
That won't go in my stash at all. Oh my
Ashley
gosh.
Birch, I can do the best impression of you.
You know what?
Bird,
I know we
absolutely.
talked about it last week, but I didn't say this because I was re-listening to our show, and I should have said it. All the criticisms of Aloy as a character, yes, sometimes can be a wet blanket. At the end, I would say the final act, like the whole last third of the movie of the game,
Felt like
her
a movie.
her cut scenes and her interactions, I thought were really meaningful, and they did a
Oh, yeah.
much better job. Like
Yeah.
her character
yeah.
really became very endearing
Yeah.
and like a real hero to me. So
Yeah, they finally gave her
I
some
like-
growth. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to mention that. But speaking of games that are easy, I don't think Trek to Yomi is easy by any stretch, but it's a short game, and I got to tell you, the frustration that I had playing through that game, I did finish it, but the frustrations I had, I don't feel like were skill based because I only played it on normal, and they have a hard difficulty and they have like this insane like one hit kill difficulty. So I played it on essentially like instead of very easy, I played it on what feels like easy. So it wasn't super tough, but the frustration I had was just with the performance, the combat performance just struggles, and I don't know what it is. There's something. It's a little bit jittery. It does it the way it reads your move, and I know I put in the right combo because it worked last time, and this time for some reason it didn't. So I don't know, man. It had frustrating moments, but all of it was easily overshadowed by the amazing visuals in that game.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Looks
I get that.
so good. And
I'll be in the middle of one of these really boring fights that you're talking about, and like something in the background's happening. I'll go, oh, this is boring.
Yeah, like even like
this
the storms,
whole moment
like
was worth it.
The wind blowing, like there's a whole scene where it's towards the end, but there's a scene where you're trying to get somewhere. Obviously, the whole game you are, and
Yomi probably.
Are you trekking somewhere?
I don't want to give it away. But there's a scene with these docks that you're, and the water is just, it's a huge storm, and there's these massive waves that are hitting the docks. And it's not like the water physics are the best I've ever seen. That's not what it is. It's just the artistic style and choice of like you're going through this chaos of these docks, and then they have things in the foreground, whether it's like, especially in certain areas, you get to some very creepy areas in this game, by the way, and it's not all like normal human-y type stuff. Some of it gets very creepy and demon-like, and so there'll be like these weird shapes or silhouettes that are like closer to you in the foreground as your characters in the background, and then they'll kind of move out of the way. Like it's really cinematic, man. Like the shots that they have are so.
Seems like they focused on that stuff a little bit more than the combat and the
combat
performance of the combat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say the performance of the combat makes the combat itself worse because the combos are cool and the ideas behind them are cool, and the idea of like being able to do quick turnaround combos against certain enemy types. There's nothing like fundamentally good.
Yeah, that's a really good way to explain it.
Execution, it's not quite there.
It makes sense. Samurais don't jump around like ninja. They're not running around everyone slicing. They plant and they attack, and it makes sense. But there's something off. Like when you're pressing buttons, when you're doing stuff. I really noticed the you were talking about the pregnant pause. Last
like
week.
A weird delay, right?
Yeah.
So
there's a latency for sure.
And after you pointed it out, it was so noticeable. I felt like I was like seeing
Sorry
Matrix
about
code. No.
Flash shatter.
In fact, I actually got better at the game because now, I was seeing Matrix code. Now I could be like, oh, it's now I hit the the deflect button or whatever. And
I did that to my wife at church the other day when I pointed out some old lady behind us who was hacking like this nasty noises, and it was bothering me. And so I kind of elbowed her, and I was
you're me in that situation. I was
like,
same thing.
I was like, babe, what's going on over here? And
then, suffer with me, babe.
She's like, I can't stop.
For the last 20 minutes, she kept like, she even texted me. She didn't want to say it to me. She was so annoyed. She texted me. She's like, why did you point that out? Now I can't not hear it.
You're the
It
bad
is
guy.
literally
the How I Met Your Mother glass shattering.
If I feel like crap, you have to feel like crap.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we're sharing this, hun. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. That's what marriage is all.
Yeah. But I do recommend Trek to Yomi because, if nothing else, it's a visual feast, man. Like this is one of those games that, I mean, you just lean back and just soak it all in. Like, yes, the gameplay is not great. It's not incredibly difficult, although I did find myself on certain areas getting almost stuck. Like I died a bunch in a row, and I was like, why is this part so difficult? Then I just kind of took a breath and was like, you know what? I'm just going to do the repetitive thing that works on every enemy. And that got me through a lot of it. So, which was
that's the thing is like whenever you're stuck in the game, Occam's razor, man. Just like whenever you're doing stop and just YY.
Yeah.
heavy or XX or
it's
just
true.
Be really simple about it. Yeah.
I did find that one of my favorite combos, and it didn't work on everybody. It worked out probably most of the enemies, was I would do the parry or the block at least. And if you hold up and then hit X, he'll do like a different motion. He kind of does like swipes up.
Yeah.
And the same thing if you hold down, he kind of does the swipes down. So I did like XXY. So you can unlock a combo where while you're holding up, you do like this,
stuns, right?
and then he kind of like does a jab as the last move, and it stuns almost every enemy.
And you can
R1,
R1,
or R1,
or RB, whatever you're playing on.
So yeah, that worked. But then sometimes for some reason, I would hit the final button of the combo, and he wouldn't do the stun move. He would do a normal Y attack, and I'm like, I don't know why the game isn't reading that I hit these buttons in the same combo.
I'm not doing anything
over.
different. Yeah,
Yes.
you're reading it wrong. Yeah.
So those
That's
were
frustrating.
those were my
With
frustrations.
how simplified the combat is, you'd think like you'd get that right. You know, there's very few mechanics going on here that I don't know why you're being confused on my button input right now. I've experienced that a lot too, where I'm just like, that's not what I did, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Plenty of times where like I would be done running, but I would still do the running and like jab motion. I'm like, that's not like no one asked you to do that, you know. But again, as much as I don't like love the combat, it's not something that I'm like constantly every scene going, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. You know, like it's serviceable enough where it gets me to the next big visual point, and I go.
And there are some areas where you get a bunch of bandits to jump out at you, and I'm just like slice, and it just looks awesome.
Yeah,
like against this cool background, and I just have this effortless sweeping through enemies. I'm like, sweet. And then all of a sudden I'll get to one where for some reason this gun that he's shooting and the way that the guy behind me is attacking, I just get caught in this weird like pattern that I can't break out of, and it kills me. I'm like, great. So I have equally frustrating. Part of me wants it to just be like, let it be so simple that I can just experience the game almost like a movie. It's like a long movie. And so anyway,
I wonder if easy mode gives you that. I wonder
maybe.
if that.
Yeah, because I bet you could take more hits with that.
Yeah.
Jeff and I talked last time about how there's some rewards for exploration that continues throughout the rest of the game. There's some optional side paths where you can grab, increase the stamina, increase the health, that kind of thing, or collectibles. So yeah, really solid game overall, and it's mainly because of the visuals and by the way, the audio production. I was wearing headphones while I played this game. Audio is amazing too. Like if you really listen to all the sound effects and elements where music kicks in, like it feels very much like a samurai movie. It's
feels
great.
like the presentation overall, like audio, visual, all of that is great, and they really worked on that. And then just the combat, again, the combat for some reason, it's like that's pretty important too, though, guys. I mean,
yeah.
So that's kind of a bummer, but
it is because it's so much of the game. If that were just one small element, hey, you don't have to fight too much. A lot of the game is whatever else. No, it's almost all fighting. So, it's like, for example, one of the games that all of us love, Horizon Forbidden West. If that game were mostly climbing, I think I might hate that game. But since it's not, that's just a small area that's like, sure. Sometimes it misses.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Like, what if that game were a climbing game?
It is a climbing game.
Climb to the top. What is a climbing game?
I was going to segue into apparently somebody's playing Gibbon Beyond the Trees.
Yeah, buddy.
I saw the images of that. I was like, I need to play this right now.
You're a monkey?
Yeah.
You're a gibbon.
Hey, guess what?
Sorry.
Guess what? That's all the game is. You're just swinging from tree to tree.
As a gibbon, though, I mean, that's amazing.
Okay.
No, it's not enough, guys. No.
It's
$10, so I don't feel robbed or anything. It felt like a $10 game.
Don't you? Okay, well, as long as it felt like a $10 game.
Yeah, exactly.
I look at that $10 and go, I can go get Chipotle.
And the score is cool.
Craps.
The animation looks decent, I guess. But the gameplay's not fun. No.
But you get to be a gibbon.
You're holding our whatever the bumper is, the right bumper, to swing, and when you release it, you jump. And you have to time that right so you can swing in a bigger gap. That's what she said. And the left bumper is run.
Dan approves.
The left bumper is run, so sometimes you have to run on a branch, and then when you release
the way
it,
that gibbons run are hilarious. By the way.
Wait, is it an auto runner? Do you have to even run, like hold to the right or whatever? It's an auto.
No, it's constantly moving to the right, so you're always either pressing and holding.
It's a mobile. That's what
it's a mobile game.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
It's like Cannonball Run. It's Cannonball Run.
Why is this just
Mario Run?
Thing? Why is it just one thing where I'm like in the air and there's so many layers of trees where it feels like you could be swinging all the way up the highest one or at the lowest one, and they animated out all of that for you to be able to swing at any level. So that's impressive for a $10 game.
Sure.
But ultimately, like there's chapters in it. What do you do? Why are there chapters?
It sounds like shovelware to me. I don't know. It sounds like shovelware.
It sounds like you're anti-gibbon, Kyle. That's what this is.
Dan, your positivity on this is infectious, and I'm totally here for it.
I love
you need to put it elsewhere.
No, I love monkeys, so I'm sorry, but I'm a little biased.
I love monkeys. Sounds about right.
Yeah, it does remind, like the way you're describing it does sound like Cannonball Run, Mario Run, like those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It
just
should
looks
not
a
have been
little
$10.
better than those.
It should have
yeah.
been $5. That's
Yeah.
what it sounds
And
like.
$10 was like a sale because of the indie
Wow.
world thing.
Yeah. I need to
Oh.
stop. Yeah.
So
That's
I think it's
crazy.
like 12 or something. I don't know.
Jeez.
Woo!
Now this game has like 199 written all over it as you're describing it.
Too rich
So
for my blood.
yeah.
Gibbons are great though. Gibbons are great.
Gibbons are great.
Sure, whatever you say.
I guess I've never met one. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, are they the ones that with the longer arms that well
Yeah.
obviously I know this, they're in the game, but
Yeah.
are they the ones that tend to be like you see pictures of them like if I don't know, tourists, normally white folk go to like I don't know, think Ecuador or whatever.
Yeah, it's
and, like,
a country, Jeff.
and they
Go
have
ahead.
they're always like hugging one.
Yeah, there
Hey,
are.
I
they
went
kinda
to
extend their
Ecuador.
arms
Oh,
out like
here's
this.
the
Yeah.
monkey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because they're like so chill. They're like one of the
I
chill.
just I think captive
Animals.
like monkeys, and I think like people getting their faces ripped off. So I just
Well, you're thinking
the
of like
enemy.
chimpanzees.
That's
I
a
mean,
chimp.
yeah, whatever.
they're not the same.
These
God.
are
I
orangutans, right?
Yeah,
These are
tell-
orangutan breeds.
I know smaller monkeys can be aggressive too. So
No,
They can be,
absolutely.
but don't chimps like all get dementia and then turn aggressive after a certain age? Like,
Yeah.
I know the actor ones do. There's news reports about it. Let's pull them up real quick.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that chimps pretty much all of them at some point kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna rip your balls off.
That's why
Like,
you always use Andy Serkis to be your chimp.
Always, every time.
There you
Yeah.
go. Here's a free image of Gibbon in the chat. There you go.
God.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate it.
I
Okay.
think they're adorable. I'm
I
a
hate,
sucker
dude.
for-
I'm
I was
on
thinking of a
team.
different
I'm on team monkey. I'm not saying
orangutan.
we go out and
I'm on team
exterminate
monkey.
them. You know, I'm saying they're maybe
I'm on
not as
team
cool.
monkey.
Pro monkey. Monkey lives
I'm
matter.
pro
Pro
primates.
monkey, yeah.
I'm pro primates.
I'm pro
Yeah.
primates.
So
Thank
so
you, guys.
far I'm not gonna stop playing Sleeping Dogs or Eiyuden Chronicle to play Gibbon. But what about Evil Dead? Is that a
Sure.
game that's worth stopping to give that some time?
It's another one I only played a little bit. I did a cat like
Please
a,
tell me a little bit of it though.
a standard Jeffrey Diddle as I'm wont to do.
Sure.
That's all I had time for. So I did the tutorial of both sides because you can do it's Dead by Daylight basically, where you can play as the humans and your mission is to destroy not
By
destroy.
Daylight, eh?
Your mission is to like use the Necronomicon book from the movies and the show to get all the demons back in the book so they don't haunt you or whatever or kill people again. So that's your goal as a human, and if you are a demon, you can just zip around in spirit form, which is awesome. And then you can, if you get enough balls of energy, you can possess an enemy, and the enemy can be, if it's like an elite one or whatever you want to call it, like a boss type of enemy, then it costs more of the energy orbs to possess them. I thought that stuff was really cool. But yeah, that's your.
So
that's
there's
your
enemies
goal.
on the map for the humans to be killing, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and you as a ghost or on the other side a demon can possess those enemies as you get enough orbs. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah. You'll see
Cool, I'm
orbs
agreeing
all
with that.
over the map. You'll see all
So there's
over the map.
So
NPC
you're kind of-
enemies.
You're
Yeah,
kind
there
of
are
doing-
NPC enemies. Yeah,
Depending
so-
on what side you're on, you're doing your own kind of meta game, and then
exactly.
and
yeah.
then past converge once like the
and
bad
if
guy.
you're a demon, you're like, dang, dude, you're really powerful. I mean,
Oh.
you can throw portals up that just spawn enemies, and some of them can be proximity too, and some of them can be elite portals, and those cost a little bit more energy. Like they just pop out these big freaking bosses right when you're trying to walk into a house or something, and to the human eye. As a demon, you can see it because you spawned it, but to the human eye, it's just an invisible thing, and you have to get close to it, and then it's like suddenly surprise, bitch, and it's like
Yeah.
it's like whatever zombie or whatever comes out.
Well, you can if I'm not mistaken, because I saw a little bit of the Easy Allies preview. Like you can possess objects too, right? Like a tree.
Yeah, you can possess a vehicle. Yeah, you can possess a vehicle.
Oh, that's cool.
a
trees.
tree. So you can
Yeah.
grab somebody as a tree. I
So
think
As a
it's-
tree? Oh.
Yeah, it's as
So it's like
comical
Kirby.
as the
Yeah.
as the movies are and the show is. It's just as ridiculous as that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if
I
you're a
hope they
fan
don't
of
let you
that,
Did that campaign ever come out? Did you see?
yeah, there's
like-
a single player.
There
That's
is a
the only
single player
that's the only way I'm playing. The campaign though is not really like a focused one. It's more like 6 chapters that are kind of borrowed from certain eras of the movies and the show. Like where you're playing as a different aged Ash or whatever. Like
Okay,
the
okay.
first chapter, which I didn't beat yet, which I'll describe in a minute. The first chapter is like you are trying to so your girlfriend becomes possessed. So naturally, and this is the descriptor from the mission, naturally you cut off her head and bury it somewhere.
Yeah.
So the mission is going to retrieve her head and like give her a proper burial, whatever, for sentimental reasons, I guess. I didn't get all the way through it. But so that's an example, and there's like 6 chapters of that, and it's not a full price game. It's like $40, 30, 40, something like that. It's 40 for both PS5 and PS4.
I think it's 40.
And it looks good, by the way. So that level, Ash already has the chainsaw on his arm, so I'm using that to kill some deadites. And he has a shotgun that's like typically a one shot if they're really close. So that's cool. The reason I died though is there's a fear mechanic where if you travel a long period of time in just the darkness, your fear meter goes up, and the more the enemies come at you, your fear meter continues to go up. If it gets maxed out, a demon can possess you, and that's like game over, basically. So the way to stop that, the mechanic to stop that, is you have to find matchbooks, or I don't know if there's lighters too, there could be, but you have to find a matchbook, and you'll see icons that are red around the map, and you go to those icons, and it's where you can use the matchbook because the Deadites hate light. So you use that to light something up like a campfire, and that lowers your fear bar completely. So that kind of like allows you to run back out.
That's cool.
So I made the mistake in that level of like going, where are these red icons? And like just lighting up all the
I want to stay safe.
Yeah, just using all my matchbooks right away. And then I got like right to like the second to last item I had to do was like dig up her head. And I was in a cursed area, so there were just tons of like people just popping out of portals and stuff, deadites and stuff. So like I was like, the fear just kept rising, like incrementally, just worse and worse and worse. And
the fear rises,
like
brother.
right away. The fear rises. The fear rises.
Nice.
Nice. It doesn't matter who we are.
I was
Yes, it will be painful for you.
I was born in it.
I'm murdered by it. Why are you here?
Your body or your spirit.
Man, Kyle just
It
became
feels
Bane.
blinding. Random Bane quote off. That's what we're gonna pause the show to do a Bane quote off.
The full segment, Dan, if you can cut that into a
Yes.
20-second clip.
No, absolutely.
Into a YouTube short.
I'll get our faces and put Bane masks on.
Yes. Be very painful. So I really like it so far, especially being a fan of Evil Dead. If you're a fan of it, there's tons of like different characters from the movies and show. I'm having trouble understanding this franchise and like how it keeps getting the axe, it keeps getting canceled by something.
Right.
And then there's a whole game, and yet Stars is behind the game, and like you canceled the show. Like whatever. That's great that it's getting its own life and stuff. And I like that the idea that there's classes, like even the demons have classes you can pick from. You have necromancers, and you have like like a warrior class and stuff like that.
That's
like
cool.
Like more of a melee class. You have a support class. So you have different, and each character from like the game, like Ash is in all 4 categories, all 4 classes. But it's different eras of Ash. Like it's like, Ash versus Evil Dead Ash is like a support or whatever. So I think that's really
But some
cool.
of the characters from the Star Show are in it, right? Like
yeah, like you
can play as the
girl,
I forget what they call them, ghost punchers or something. I forget what they call themselves.
There's they have the medieval guy from
nice
called Army of the
Dead, yeah.
Which
is really crazy because
usually
you can't like reference one or the other if you're like, because they're owned by different properties. Evil
apparently
Dead.
So
yeah. Evil Dead.
But yeah, the game included the medieval guy, and so I did the tutorial as him, and he's melee focused. He's in that class where you can just you just have more success just beating the crap out of them. And it was normally 2 hits and they're dead. Whereas with Ash it could have just been because it's a tutorial, but with Ash in that first chapter of the solo game, it was taking forever. I was like chainsaw, I was punching chainsaw. I was like, come on, man, kill him.
Yeah, it's a chainsaw, right?
I got the chainsaw.
What?
Chainsaw.
What? I'm a chainsaw.
Dude, that actually sounds like, the way you're describing it sounds really And you only played it for a little bit. That sounds really
little bit.
interesting.
And
I'm
fact
super
that the
I'm super
graphics
into
so
everything
impressed
that
me.
you're talking about right now. Yeah.
It's
In
so
comparison-
bizarre how good the game looked. Like I did not expect it to look
Yeah.
good. I honestly expected
Right.
it to be kind of messy because
That-
we haven't really heard that much about the game.
The comparison to Dead by Daylight is interesting because from how you're describing it, the little bit of that preview I saw, it's not totally like that. It seems more
Not 100%,
more
but
to it.
there's-
It seems more
There's a
to
concept to it. Like they do a demon versus humans thing, and that's like their main game,
it. Okay.
which is what
Multiplayer.
the Dead by Daylight type of.
Well, yeah, because you're
archetype
you're
is.
picking.
So it's
yeah,
asymmetrical, one bad guy, multiple good
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, and it's a
but the thing is,
multiplayer
like, you're
game.
possessing stuff, though, right? As
So like more
demon-
mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
probably
Possessing
some more
is
stuff
huge.
going on
It's a
there.
huge mechanic.
Yeah, because
And-
with Dead
and
by
it's-
Daylight, you're specifically picking a killer, and like each killer is like a unique like class, so to speak. Like they do
Has their
unique
own
things.
moves,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So-
I wonder if it's because I picked the class Necromancer that I was able to be a spirit and just kind of wander around and
Sure.
possess things.
I'm wondering that too. That's interesting.
Because
yeah.
there are
That's
some that
interesting you say
aren't
that.
like that. Some are like
Oh,
just
okay.
knights from Army of Darkness or.
Boy.
Oh, and you could just
enemies are just
specifically
different.
choose that, like.
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of-
There's
Oh,
different
okay.
classes of stuff. Yeah, it's definitely worth looking into. Yeah, it's more involved than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Well, here's
But-
hoping they don't include powers for everything the demons do in the movies, especially the first one, because yikes, there's some stuff that they do.
The
But I
power
hope-
to,
Yeah, I hope that they don't let you do all of the things that
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, the power to camera.
If you're a demon, you can actually booby trap the chest, the supply chests,
Oh,
with Ash's
I
hand.
like that.
oh,
like
damn.
that.
Oh,
brilliant.
cool, fun.
It's so funny.
great.
Yeah,
That's
there's
great.
stuff like that I love that you can just booby
Evil
trap.
Dead's one of my favorite like properties ever. Like I think
Yeah, same here.
I like when people talk about like, oh, what's your favorite cult class? That might be my favorite cult classic. Like that's the one I always talk about, and the one that the one that I'm like, boy, you haven't seen
said that.
Army of like, a lot of people don't know Army of the Dead like exist, or they'll complain
Yeah.
that 2 is just a remake of 1. I'm like, yeah, I know, isn't it crazy? Like this whole everything about Evil Dead doesn't make sense, and I think the show is brilliant. I think it getting canceled, especially on the cliffhanger that 3 ends on, the season 3 ends on, like is criminal.
Such BS,
but like.
dude.
Yeah, it's just one of my favorite. It's just one of my favorite things. It's not high art.
No,
Sure.
I don't think it's trying to be, but
It
that's
is.
where
It
that's
is.
like, I
It
feel like
is
that's like
as like guerrilla filmmaking as
Yeah.
you can get. And
when
I
people
adore
go
it.
when we talked about Doctor Strange last week.
Yep.
And when people go, oh, that's a Raimi moment, they're talking about all of his Evil Dead tendencies.
Well,
like,
Yeah,
it comes from
he
that.
created his style via Evil Dead.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
anything you say is Sam Raimi exists because he did 3 incredibly campy horror movies. So
Yeah.
even
Army
though
of
I
Darkness is
would
straight
say
up
the first
like-
one's I would say the first one's legitimately a horror movie.
It is.
It is.
And,
And
the
then-
second
and then,
one
like,
is
there's-
the best of both. It's like comedy
Yes,
horror. And then
absolutely.
the third one is just straight up
The third one
freaking
is
Monty
straight
Python or
comedy.
something. Yeah. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably
good, though.
blasphemous, but I'm actually not that familiar with. I've never actually watched any of them except for the newer one that wasn't Raimi's.
Not
Yeah,
a bad
it's-
movie. It's just
Yeah, I
not
was gonna
bad at
say
all,
I
no.
was wondering what you guys felt about it because I
I
actually
actually enjoyed that movie.
Ash shows
like
up at
the
the end
end?
anyway, so
Yeah, exactly. And
The
like
chainsaw
it's still
scene at the end,
it's still
like-
kind of campy enough, like where especially in its gore use and stuff like that, where it's like it's not taking itself overly seriously, but
Sure.
the deaths and the graphical deaths in that movie
the
are
chainsaw part at the
absolutely
end,
excellent.
right?
Yeah, she literally makes it rain
Just
blood.
for like it feels like 5 whole minutes, so she's just hacking
Yeah,
away at that thing.
it's
like-
excellent.
Yeah, I
Some-
feel like the original one. I think I watched it. I don't know, 10 years ago or something. It's been a while since I've seen it, but
yeah.
I thought it was legitimately messed up and creepy.
It
like,
is.
I
It is, yeah. It's
And I had no
legitimately
First one
idea-
is for sure, yeah.
I had no idea the silliness that it became, so I didn't go into
Yeah.
it thinking like, oh, this will be a fun, funny horror movie. So like,
Yeah.
I had the same vibes as when I watched like The Thing. You know what I mean? From
Yeah.
John
like-
Carpenter.
Yeah, because
yeah.
even though like the style is very old, the special effects are of course way outdated, still freaked me out. Like it
Yeah.
still was freaky. So in both those movies,
The
I thought
thing,
it was-
is like
it's
low-key
got
one of
some
my
messed
favorite
up
horror
stuff, too.
movies of all time because like of all the
Yeah.
practical effects and just like again that's a whole different era of horror that just like
It's got
exists in its
some
own
real-
bubble of time and
Yeah, The Fly too. The Fly is the one that's
the
like
Fly it
Ah,
definitely
yeah.
exactly
How
Gross
did
imagery in that.
Cronenberg
do that,
Cronenberg,
dude?
like,
How did he
just
do it
now,
in
yeah.
'87?
dude, all
or
of those
whatever?
movies would have been canceled hard in 2020.
Oh, dude,
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. Cronenberg's still doing weird stuff that makes people walk out. Of movies,
Cronenberg
so I
is
don't know.
Cronenberg's last movie. What is it? Possession. That movie screwed me up for a little bit.
Possessor was his son.
Possessor, yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
that was the son. You're right.
Yeah,
Guess
so look
what?
at how the apple fell
not
far from the tree.
Yeah.
tree. Yeah.
I was gonna
Apple's
say,
still
wow.
on the tree, actually.
Yeah,
It's
I
still
know
on the
Apple's-
tree.
He legitimately freaked me out with that movie. Where I was like, "This is gross, right, guys?" Like,
Yeah.
I'm
It
like,
wasn't just
like,
gross. It was like I feel not good about watching
Yeah,
this
I
movie.
don't.
Like
Everything about this, I don't feel right about. Like, yeah,
What is that, the Possessor?
definitely-
Possessor, yeah.
And
And
then
it's
watch
like,
the,
I'm gonna
watch
watch
the
it.
director's cut.
The
Specifically.
director's cut is apparently the more far superior cut because I watched the theatrical one and I was like, I don't think I like this at all.
I watched both. Yeah, it wasn't until the director's cut that I was like, "Oh, I actually like this movie." It's just
Yeah. And it's
It's
really
still
cool
gro-
because
it's
it
still
starts as like a
gross and very
sci-fi
unnerving.
thing where like you can kind of like the sci-fi element is like there's a technology that allows this company to take over like successful executives' minds or whatever and have them kind of change their business model to kind of I don't know, benefit the economy or benefit whatever the company is doing that can hack into people's minds or whatever. So they basically they're literally possessing people's bodies and forcing them to do things that they normally wouldn't do. But that person's subconscious is still in there and will sometimes like be at odds with the person that took
It's
them
a little
over and
Black
possessed them.
Mirror-esque, man. That's
A little
Black
bit,
Mirror.
but
It's,
it gets way more body
and
horror.
then yeah, exactly. Saying like it sounds like a sci-fi concept, but then it gets very body horror very quickly.
Yeah.
Got a
Very
it's got a
Cronenberg.
very
94
Cronenberg.
on Rotten Tomatoes.
Dude, it's incredible.
94.
I think the director's cut's incredible. I think it's much better than the theatrical version of the movie.
Theatrical left me cold by the end. I was like, this is
Did you watch the director's cut, Jeff?
Not yet, but I downloaded.
You would
I
like
totally
it.
legally
Yeah,
downloaded.
I'm 100% sure you're gonna think differently about that movie.
I subscribe to a service that provides it as part of their page.
I have subscribed to a service.
Hollywood sent it to me. It's legal.
All right, well, we're going to circle back. We're going to wrap up with stuff that we're watching. There's a couple things there, but I want to go through some headlines that I think are worth covering for this week. The first one is actually something that I finally watched it today, and that is the Gotham Knights gameplay video. First wanted to cover the idea of PS4 and Xbox One versions of Gotham Knights being canceled. What do you guys think about that? What was your reaction?
God, we're finally here.
Good, get him out of here.
Yeah.
Get him out of here.
What if
Yeah,
you didn't? What if you still couldn't acquire one but wanted one?
Tim, I have one.
So you're good.
I've got
The thing
I don't
is,
know.
like,
I actually don't know what you're asking.
I
me.
can't even imagine what it's like to be one of those
all right,
people.
hold on.
There's
I'll
not
admit-
there's not an empathetic bone in my. No, I'm kidding.
Hold on,
Dude, it totally sucks.
Yeah.
I hope more come out by the time this game comes out. But like, it is time to move forward technology-wise. And if we were being held back by not being able to get 4-player working, which they added now, if I'm not mistaken, to this new version, and it wasn't going to work on the old version, then I think they made the right decision. So
absolutely.
Okay. Hey, who's the fourth character? I forget. There's Nightwing, Red Hood, Batgirl, and
Robin.
Robin.
Just
Oh,
regular
yeah,
ass Robin.
duh.
Yeah.
Regular
Tim
ass
Drake
Robin.
Robin.
Wow,
Yeah.
poor Robin.
Tim Drake Robin. Okay.
No.
So
Tim Drake is
Dick Grayson is Nightwing, right?
Dick
Yes,
Grayson is
yes.
Nightwing. Tim Drake
And,
is.
and then Tim Drake is Red Hood.
Oh, I'm wrong. You're right. So is it Damian Robin? Is that who we're getting?
That's a good
It's a bunch
question.
of Robins that aren't Robins.
There are
except
so
for-
many
except for
Robins,
Robin.
and some of them
Yeah.
are dead. I don't know. Yeah.
All of them were tired of Batman's crap that they.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
actually
pretty much.
all get tired of his
Yeah.
crap at some point because he's
Yeah.
Well,
kind of
So
Yeah,
I
great character
agree.
in
I
comics.
agree wholeheartedly with you guys. I think it's okay for honestly, as soon as a new console's out, I think it's okay for any
Oh, sorry.
developer.
Jason Todd is Red Hood.
Jason
So
Todd.
Tim Drake is
Jason
Red.
Todd.
So
yes.
Tim Drake is okay. I thought so. Yeah. Okay.
I think as soon as a new console's out, I have no problem with any company deciding, hey, this is only coming to those new consoles. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I think it's cool when they're able to kind of straddle the line a little bit and make it work for previous. I mean, I think it can make sense a lot. I get it. But if a company, especially a third-party company, decides, nope, this is where we're putting our game, we've decided these are the platforms, then I've never had a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart being only on PS5.
I didn't realize that was only PS5. That makes sense
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
I mean,
they
that
said that-
technology could not work with
So,
PS4.
They
I
said
have
that like
no problem with
specifically
that.
the Portal technology couldn't have never worked
Yeah,
on PS4.
right.
So
Yeah.
just
So
what it is, yeah.
I'm happy about it. I shouldn't say happy. I'm like indifferent for the most part, but I'm also kind of like, hey, if that means they're gonna make a better game, great. And that
well
I don't know
again,
if it does,
I don't. Does the PS4 people deserve to play a broken game? Also, like it's just if it's not going to work on that system,
Yeah,
or it's going to be a lesser version with lesser modes or lesser features,
Well,
like
they just complain
at some-
about it, right?
That's exactly at some point they're going to feel jilted and complain about it. So it's like I don't know.
I don't
Are
know,
they?
man. It's.
I guess
like,
they're
it's
going to
been
complain either
2
way.
How many years now? Are we a year and a half in on these consoles? Is it more?
Yeah.
Is it 2.5?
I feel like it's
Year-
been like 5 years.
It's
for
going to be
some reason.
it's going to be 2 years in November.
It's because of
So-
COVID has
Okay.
made time.
It's
Yeah,
a
for
year and a
release.
half right
slowed
now.
down time significantly. Yeah.
So Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But so knowing that it's at a year and a half, we're coming up on two. By the time this game comes out, we're at about the 2-year mark for the new consoles. There's nothing wrong with it. Just like there's nothing wrong with an app, a popular app deciding, hey, you have to have a phone that can handle this version of the OS, or otherwise you can't use our app. Like, it sucks, but it's also like you're gonna have to catch up. That's just the way it works. Like, if you don't want to catch up, that's fine. Keep the old phone and just accept the fact you're not gonna have access to all the things. That's fine. You do you. So I feel the same way about these consoles. Like, if you really, really are desperate for a console, you can pay the $700-800 or whatever it is on eBay, or you can just be. I feel like if you're on top of it enough, if you get all the right alerts on your phone,
that's the thing.
Guys, we all worked really hard.
We all did that.
Tim and I think there were moments where Tim and I were considering, like, I'm quitting. I'm never gonna do this again. I'm never gonna get in Walmart's queue again or whatever.
Kept trying.
And then we ended up getting one like within a week of each other. Like, if you keep trying, you're gonna get one. But I also understand that the grind is hard and it's frustrating.
And they've said that
and there are feelings of like, why do I have to do this? You know, and the shortages suck, and like I don't want to diminish like people's, like, if people are out there trying to hunt, they're not be able to get one, like that sucks hard. But also, you know, like, how many years are we going to give it before we're actually making games that are just on these consoles?
Right.
But I think these things they don't have to be correlated. Like, a company can decide, here are the platforms we're putting our software on. It doesn't have to be like, haha, all the people who don't have this yet are idiots for not getting it yet. Those are separate things.
Stupid.
Yeah, I totally agree.
They're separate things. So I don't think the decision was made with like, sorry, we don't care about you guys. No, it's like we've decided this is where we're putting it.
I mean, people just it's that joke thing of like, people just think that they go into like this, file drop down, click PS4 version. Like, it's not that simple. Like, they're not just clicking.
We're just gonna we're gonna take the scale, thing. Just slide it across.
Lower polygons.
Now it's gonna.
I've played Switch versions of stuff. I promise you, that's not what it is.
It takes a lot of work to get these games to work on multiple different generations.
Well, this game especially wants to be multiplayer and wants to be open world, like the Gotham series was, or the Arkham series was. So, PS4 can't work with that.
I was gonna say, let's break that down. If you're talking about a game that relies on like smooth animation, 60 frames per second, open world, a lot of people coming at you, a lot of assets on the screen and stuff like that,
at the same time,
and it needs to process that for 2 or 3 other players. This is not going to run on PS4. So it's not even like a thing where it's and I'm all about the the developer decision and conversation as well, but it's like, this was never going to work, on the last generation, unless you wanted some kind of weird, janky game, which everyone piles on whenever a weird, janky multiplayer comes out, So it's like, there's a lot of fear right now of putting out a game that just like doesn't. Battlefield 2142 is still getting dumped on, and like, I came out like 6 months ago, and it's just like, it's one of those things where no one wants to put out a bad multiplayer game. So if like, you need the better systems and processors and power that coming out of these new systems, and like, lean into it, and like, they should not feel bad about it either. Like, they apologize and everything. They did more than they ever should have, and I think that looks good on them, to be honest. But
and it's not like pre-orders weren't out or anything, so nobody's feeling like,
the only announcement where they gave a promise or anything like that. No money was taken or exchanged. Like,
I feel like the people who are all over getting the newest game of any kind typically are all over getting the newest console. So I do think there's probably a pretty small audience who is going to be upset about this. Maybe it's not small, maybe it's significant. I don't know. But
I feel like the audience is certainly getting smaller.
I feel like the general reaction to this
people that want those consoles have been getting them lately. So
the general reaction to this has been either that's fine or good. Like, we want you to just focus on the next gen. So I think that's the general response.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But overall, I do think the game looks cool. I watched that gameplay video and the breakdown where they really focused in on Nightwing and Red Hood, and I keep
wanting to call him Red Knight, even though it's
his double jump maneuver goofy, but like, I'll excuse it.
Oh yeah, they just like, he magic. That's why magic. Don't worry.
Well, he uses the power of his soul or something.
He got revived, right, or something.
Well, but also you could say about Nightwing, out of nowhere, he just pulls out a gigantic 20.
It's a glider. He's using it the reverse way you're supposed to use a freaking glider.
And it's just, so I get
But
that,
It
looks
looks
like
like
the
the
we have
freaking
to
Green
create
Goblin
these, like,
glider, and
we
he's
just
like
have to make
using
it
it this
right.
way.
It does look goofy,
But
but
I thought the
they're
visuals
just
looked cool.
it
So
did, and
as
they're
he's
showing you
gliding-
how like every character is gonna have a way to get around really easily. It might look a
Yes.
little goofy, but like they're just trying to make sure that everyone can keep up with each other because it's a co-op game, and like I get it. Again, like I get like the mechanical reason
Yeah.
for like these kind of goofy things, but
same.
yeah, it's still
Yeah,
it's still
as he's gliding, I was watching, even on a YouTube, whatever 1080p, whatever it was that it was on my device, and I was watching it. I just remember thinking, man, this is very detailed, and even the light from the blue flames coming out of the glider that you're using, the way it reflects off of him as he's kind of
Yeah.
turning, like I was like, this looks good, man. So I think the game is looking pretty sharp. I like the way the open world is looking. It kind of reminds me a lot of Arkham City. And so I'm hoping for those kind of vibes. I'm looking
and
forward.
Court of the Owls is like one of the best runs of Batman ever. So
That's what I've heard. I've never experienced it, so I'm looking
So
forward to that.
I
That's what I've
am
heard.
fingers crossed that that's the route they're going to go in the new movies with Pattinson.
I hope so.
I really want Court of Owls, dude. Like
The
that
stepping
deserves
the
to be told in a
stones are there.
cinematic way.
Yeah, there are stepping
Yeah.
stones there that are leading to that, but I can't.
Yeah.
Hoping that's the case.
Well, Capcom has announced its 9th consecutive year of operating on income growth. So Capcom basically is saying we're crushing it. That's what they're saying.
Yes.
Record high net sales.
Cool.
5th consecutive year of breaking their record of profits on all levels. So
Well, I
like
mean,
for 5 years in a row, they've broken the record from the previous year.
Kyle just kind of sarcastically said cool, but it's Capcom was kind of looking not super great.
Right.
Dude, I say sarcastically,
ago,
but
right?
I'm totally cheerleader
Right.
for Capcom.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was the PS3 era. Like, they kind of looked like they were in some pretty serious trouble. Like,
Weirdly, I think it was like Dragon's Dogma that like brought them out of like this weird
dude, that game
like
was so
slump
great.
or whatever, and it's so good, yeah. And then like ever since then, they've kind of been
Yeah, Street Fighter
had
4
these-
started doing much like
Street Fighter
really
4
well.
did really
like,
good for them,
yeah.
yeah. Like
They
but
stopped making Lost Planet games.
I was gonna say, like, I think I was really gonna bring up. I was like, I think Lost Planet destroyed them as a company, because
We're like lost profits.
Dude, they spent so much money on those games.
Great,
band too,
but
right?
like 2 and 3 were so bad, and
They
it's just
spent a lot of money
Yeah.
on those games. But annual game sales reached 32.6 million units, which exceeded 30.1 of the previous year. And that didn't include like Monster Hunter Rise that released in the previous fiscal year, but it did include things like Resident Evil Village, Monster Hunter Stories 2, and anything that was released after like May. So yeah, and of course they continued to sell Monster Hunter Rise. They continued to sell Resident Evil 7, still selling really well. And don't forget, they actually announced their first new IP in over 8 years called Pragmata. They announced that a couple years ago.
Wonder what that even's gonna be.
Right, we have no idea.
No idea.
Apparently they're still working on it, but it's not one of those like quietly canceled things as far as we know yet. And then they announced more effort to prioritizing improving workplace environment. This includes these plans to raise all base salaries, which is awesome.
Okay.
That's
Well, I mean, you got
nice.
to because inflation, so that can make sense.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
Now you can afford things because things are way too expensive.
So I like that. So we're getting a lot of updates. This must be the end of fiscal year for a whole bunch of companies. So Ubisoft has
There's
narrowed.
been quite a few little, what do you call those things? Investor calls or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
And
March,
that's
April,
usually-
May is a lot of endings for a lot of people's quarters. So.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we get a lot of these quotes and these kind of narrowing a window. For example, Ubisoft narrowed the window for their Avatar game, for Skull and Bones game, and for Mario plus Rabbids 2. They've said they're both looking. Hey, let me see if I can get this correct here. So they won't be released before October 1 because they said it's going to be the second half of this current fiscal year. So we're all expecting the Avatar game, Skull and Bones, and Mario plus Rabbids 2 sometime between October 1st and the end of March 2023. So I think that's a fair window.
I dropped a note in there that Skull and Bones has actually been rated already in South Korea.
Yeah, that's
saw that.
newish news.
So that's I would be surprised if it didn't come out before October, but I guess considering that's 3 months away, I guess it makes sense if it came out in the fall or something.
That one
They've
I feel
also
like
been working on this game for 20 years, so like, it's probably
Yeah.
pretty done.
Many
I
people's
think-
kids died.
I do think
I
that
think we're
game
going to
is-
see a big showcase this summer, and I think it's going to come out pretty
Do you
soon.
think that game was announced in 2012? I think, or 2013. I think
It's gone
10
through some
years.
development hell for
It's
sure.
the same year as Star Wars 1313.
Didn't they? I
guys.
think they almost did a clean reboot of that game at one
Yeah,
point.
it's had some
Yeah,
internal
no, it
struggles.
has. Yeah, yeah.
But I'm still. I know people are like Ubisoft, whatever, corporate. Who cares? And Skull and Bones looks dumb. I'll play it because I think it looks kind of cool. I like a good pirate game, so I'll play it.
Same here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there you go for those games. And I think if they're able to make the Avatar game land, you gotta land it when the movie comes out, right? You gotta land it in December-ish.
You have to strike like when.
I don't know how they I don't know, because I don't see them going, okay, Skull and Bones is like October or November, and then right away Ubisoft does another big release with Avatar. That doesn't,
Maybe.
to
You're
me,
right.
it doesn't feel right.
It
I don't
didn't-
know.
It
I
didn't
don't
feel
know.
right when they released Immortals and Assassin's Creed Valhalla within like
That's
2
a
weeks
good
of
point.
each other.
It
That's
was like
a
a
good point.
month of each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really close together. But
2013.
Yeah, I think
But
one
at
was
the
like
same time,
November and one was December.
everyone's expecting Avatar to, especially fans of it, Avatar to stay the head of the freaking box office for several weeks.
so you're thinking
Maybe
maybe,
even
early
months.
2023 might be okay.
So it could be like, well, while
That's
that's
true.
still on everybody's mind, you know,
January,
like,
February might be okay.
January, February, maybe, yeah.
If it's a Far Cry type of game, not that this is at all connected. I'm just saying they typically release Far Cry in the first couple months of the year when they release
Oh,
Far
yeah.
Cry. So
Yeah, good point.
so I could see them doing that. I mean, who knows, man? We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the what the Avatar game is going to be. I don't really normally. I don't. You guys know I don't really care about that franchise or whatever. But
Sure. What is that game?
I do
though?
want to see what the game
It's,
will be.
I
it's
think
gonna
it's
be
first person open world. I
It's gonna
think
be
that's
an
what it is.
Avatar
First
person.
sex simulator, right? It's
But I want to see the blue guy and the boner
their
tail,
hairs
whatever it is.
intertwining, right?
I
It's
could be
like
wrong.
Avatar
I'm
sex-
pretty sure it's a first person game.
That's crazy.
Like a Far Cry type of an open world game, but I
It's
could be wrong.
literally Far Cry, but like it's an Avatar game.
But I think they're gonna really focus in on a lot of like bow and arrow combat. Like
Cool.
Far Cry has some cool bow and arrow combat. So
This game, that movie franchise is super video gamey. Like there is a
Oh,
way.
It's so
that it works.
perfect for a video
There's
game.
a way that
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
you know.
it's a little like 90s 2000s, but we're still doing it.
Sure,
Apparently.
yeah,
Is
no,
that fine?
you know, I'm probably gonna like low key laugh at you a little bit if you play it,
Yeah.
but like
Well,
I'm probably gonna check it out too because I'm a
Yeah.
gamer.
I mean,
too,
it's
so.
taken this long though because
I'll play it
Cameron's
all.
insane, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, let
Yeah,
me just
he's a
film like
madman.
3 more at the same time,
Yeah.
all 3 of them at the
No,
same
he shot 2 and God, I can't believe he's doing this freaking many of these. He's doing 2 and 3. He actually already shot 2 and 3. They're in
Right.
post-production. Then they're doing 4 and 5 together.
Oh, okay. I thought he
after
did
he's finished
3
finished
in
at the same
post-production.
time.
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Four
Um,
and-
I told
five
you, I
films.
can't believe he's doing this many of these.
all right, let's
Yeah.
move on. Let's move on to a property I think we all love. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm out.
Star
a
Wars?
rumor-
Star
there's a
Wars,
rumor-
never heard of her.
There's a rumor that the sequel is going to have the title Star Wars Jedi Survivor. That's the
Yeah.
rumored title right now, which
It's
I think
gonna
is
be a Minecraft game. You have to like build like your. You
I
have
swear to
build
God,
your
if
hut,
it is
you
a
know?
survival game, then
And
Ooh,
you have
what if
to-
it's
I
like
will be so mad.
Valheim?
You
first-
kill
Oh,
banthas
yeah.
and you can eat their tip yip, you know, like good stuff like that, you know.
Ugh.
Those are
You
real.
could be,
what?
you
Those are
could
all
be
real
making
words.
up words right now. I have no idea.
Don't say don't.
Those are, it's all canon.
I just want to apologize to everyone out there
That's it.
offended by the word tip yip because
I'm all about the tip yips.
It's the cut of the meat. You can get in Dorian tip yip, you know. There's so many tip yips you can get.
Dude,
Oh
big
my
old
God.
fat
What-
tip yips. All of them
I just want to know what's the creature that Luke got the milk from, and what's the milk called?
The milk is called. It's not called blue milk. I mean, because it's green, but it's green milk is what they call it in Disney. You can actually order it at a concession stand. Blue
Sure.
milk is what he's drinking on Tatooine,
Right.
like, you know, in
Yeah.
his kitchen or whatever. But green milk is that stuff that comes out of the aliens.
I mean, let's be honest.
Alien titty.
That's
Yeah.
about as
titty,
creative
the well-tittied alien.
That's about as creative a name as the Avatar's unobtainium.
Yes.
Green milk. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What color is it? Okay.
What color? It's red. Prize.
Control Publisher 505 has announced, I think it's their first ever digital showcase, which is cool.
That's awesome.
505, of course, just recently published Eiyuden Chronicles Rising. They'll be publishing the 100 Heroes game next year as well, in addition to a whole bunch of other games. So 505 has a pretty interesting slate.
Yeah,
of,
they got a great library
they do.
as a publisher.
They do. Yeah.
So that is going to air on this coming Tuesday. So tune into that. It's, I think it's 9 a.m.
I wonder if they'll show Alan Wake, some more Alan Wake or whatever.
Yeah, could be some Alan Wake. Yep. And they're saying they're going to have updates on previously announced titles, as well as a surprise or two. And it will include what they say is a brand new reveal from a cult developer.
Cult developer.
I think they
Who-
meant to say like cult classic developer, but
No,
like
it's gonna be
it's a
a
cult.
developer that's a cult. Yeah,
It's a
no,
cult.
so-
Okay, got it.
Scientology made a video game, guys.
My bad. Yeah, dude, I hope it's Battlefield Earth the game because I would play that.
Tom Cruise
I would-
is the hero. Tom Cruise is
Xenu
the hero.
Rises.
I would play Battlefield Earth the game. I really would.
It's gonna be a Tom Cruise game.
All right, Dead Space remake has officially been announced as a January 27th, 2023 release date.
Sweet.
So
I love great January games.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know if I love anything more than like a huge January
Um,
release. So
Let me
great.
double
It is
check. I
pretty
think
great.
the original came out in January, actually. So that's actually pretty
Wow.
fitting.
it was an anniversary of some sort, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
What was that, a 2007 game?
2008.
2008. Oh, so 15 years.
No, October. I lied. Never mind.
Okay. All right.
But still,
Yeah, it makes sense for October.
Cool.
I'm so dude.
So-
I am so excited.
Yeah,
So
a
excited.
big
Same.
deal.
I'm excited to play it for the first time.
I heard that
Everybody's been
the
praising
the
it.
devs were listening to the fans so much after the first footage that came out that they changed even like sound cues to different weapons.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
they're so like fan base like focused. It's so crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
this is going to be
Makes
the game
sense.
everybody's been waiting for.
It's just the little details, especially with horror games. Like audio is so important.
Yeah,
And like I was
yeah.
seeing a
Yeah.
snippet where like
Well,
you're in
and-
the room and the audio is like so
I
different.
mean,
from when you're outside
even
of
a
the
game
room,
like Evil Dead, which isn't like I wouldn't describe that as a full blown game, because it's not it's not $70 or whatever. They put some investment into the sound quality
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
Like
Sure.
important.
Yeah.
Hard.
you'll like you'll be in the woods and you'll
Sounds
hear, like,
important.
and you're like, what the hell was that? Like, so yeah, I love that aspect of
Yeah.
when a horror game is done right, even if it's something silly.
Dude,
like,
that's one of the things that made
Sure.
Eternal Darkness such a classic was the sound
Boy,
work in Eternal
yeah.
Darkness was excellent.
Still waiting for that sequel, everybody.
Same here. Same here.
Yeah.
So first of all, before we talk about this next piece, can we just all agree that Square is on a roll? They're doing great.
Oh my god. Like,
They're doing-
I think they're doing awesome. Yeah.
Not
Oh,
only
man.
are they getting rid of their most promising and beloved IP,
I just wanna say
yeah.
that I love Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Like
So not
and-
only do they get rid of the good stuff, not all of it, right? They still have their original stuff. I get it, but they got rid of a lot of their really good stuff, and they keep propping up absolute garbage. This is so weird to me. So of course, Babylon's Fall continues to get a weird amount of support from them. I still even think Avengers, which wasn't a garbage game, but it certainly was a Swimming in
I
Sevens game.
promise you,
Got so much
Avengers did
support.
better than Babylon's Fall.
oh yeah.
And the
yeah.
way that they talked
Oh,
about
people are
Avengers,
still
the way that
playing
they talked
Avengers.
about,
Oh
like,
yeah,
it's insane to
For
me.
sure.
Like
Yeah.
how
for sure.
Avengers is a giant.
Um,
whereas
I was
Babylon's
using
Fall-
that as an example of one
Although-
that's actually
well,
not that bad of a game, but still kept getting weirdly supported by them.
Yeah.
And then stuff like Guardians gets thrown under the bus. I'm like, what is wrong with you guys?
Yeah,
but
the Guardians series were
Babylon's
insane.
Fall keeps getting propped up. They're very confident in its future. Like, what? And then this one, I think Dan, did you add this one?
Yeah, I sure did.
All right, you read to me what is going on with Square with this
So
game. 'Cause
that-
we all agree this one's trash. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm pulling this from VGC.com. So the headline is Square Enix says it still recommends Balan Wonderworld with confidence following Naka lawsuit. So is it Yuji Naka? Yeah, the creator of Sonic, which I actually didn't know until I didn't know the person by name. Yuji Naka had created Sonic and apparently was working for Square, but he was like the director, right?
Yeah.
The director of
Well,
this game.
he was like halfway. I guess he got.
It was a
Kojima.
big
And then
deal
he
when
got
he
canned,
got
right?
Yeah, he got Kojima.
Yeah, he got
Yeah.
Kojima, yeah. And then recently, I guess, so there was a lawsuit going on. The
A
lawsuit is
very public, well-known lawsuit that
Yeah.
hit the stories really big a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago. So
the lawsuit had concluded, and then he went right to Twitter and was just like, boom, just dump of information and just one of the main things he said, I believe that Square Enix and code developer Zest, I don't know who that is, are companies that care about neither games nor their fans. And it's like, oof, that's a
Mhm.
It's
bold
evident in the
statement.
product.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, dude, Japanese developers and their like major creators/directors, when those like bridges burn, they burn so hot.
I
Like,
do.
it's so crazy the amount of like solo directors that are like, F you, blah blah blah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go make my
What if
own
it's
on
a cultural thing. There's a
like,
huge New Japan wrestler right now that is like threatening to out a New Japan Pro Wrestling like executive for like sexual harassment and stuff because he's unhappy with this contract and how he's being treated. And he's the only wrestler, like he's a big name over there. I think he's been in the Yakuza games. So like he's a big name over there.
Yeah.
Japanese fans love him.
Yeah.
And he's like making these huge threats and accusations because he's unhappy. I wonder if it's like a cultural thing of like just completely dumping on things, like burning bridges.
Yeah. So where they specifically, so Square had recently they had their full year earnings call on which was on Friday. So during that, the company confirmed it had been involved in a lawsuit with Naka, but declined to comment further. However, it did defend Balan Wonderworld by saying it is a game that we recommend with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
To who? They didn't say to who though. They could be like
in what context?
You know, to like maybe Guantanamo Bay prisoners. We don't know.
Game that we produced.
I don't know if this is just again, and I keep focusing on because apparently I hate CEOs of giant companies that just talk out their ass. Like this Matsuda guy. I don't know if it was him and it trickles down and they just say like something that he was like, I want you to say
his
this.
directive
or
something.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's like
make homegrown products look good.
How do you think that this game is worthy of your confidence, but you sell these great developers for $300 million and NFTs are gonna be great? Like, I mean, what are you doing?
Well, can I say that it feels like Square, well, they got to be losing money, right? But no, they did their call like all the developers did.
So
and they said Final Fantasy 14 has been like just completely like killing their sales in a good way. Like, I mean, just their profits just jumped 90% because of that.
I just fear that Square is looking at this, especially that CEO, and going like, wow, this again, that's why we have Babylon's Fall. This live service type of experience, this thing where we can keep on siphoning money out of people month after month and stuff like that with the same product without really creating anything new. That's our motto. So let's offload all this stuff that we can't do that with, all this dumb Western stuff, you know, that can get lost. We'll stick with this stuff here, you know. We'll really push Balan Underworld because that'll make us look like we're still a developer that makes like B tier games or whatever. It seems like a weird song and dance to me that they're doing.
They chase trends. That's what they do sometimes.
Yes.
And again,
absolutely.
The CEO that was before Matsuda, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, was similar. He had that similar vibe, and they just went right into this guy.
Traded one hell for another. Yeah.
Thank God for Naoki Yoshida, who is the guy. He's like the main guy of 14, and also Business Division 3, which is making Final Fantasy 16. I mean, honestly, thank God for him because he's the one that rebooted 14 and made it what it is now. Like they've honestly could have potentially gone under if it wasn't for 14 being rebooted and then becoming
if 14 didn't win with like Realm Reborn or whatever, because remember like that game got put out and was canceled quickly because it was so panned and everything like that, especially coming off the heels of Final Fantasy 11, which then in the reports they say that was still kind of profitable for them too. Like they're still
they still make money off of that.
Pretty great money off of Final Fantasy 11, a game that came out
weird.
like 18 years ago, you know.
Yeah,
that's
which is
wild.
Weird.
I wonder if James is playing that one.
Well, there's no dancing in it, so.
I'm
sorry. No, that's mean. I'm sorry.
no, that's fine. Keep going. Keep going.
Well, one thing that we've learned here is that Dan hates capitalism. We know that for sure.
Oh, I absolutely
Dan hates capitalism.
I'm all about communism. No, I'm just kidding.
Money.
It's our money.
What we have to do with it.
I don't know, man. Square has traditionally been, of course, I don't love nearly as much as their games, nearly as much as Dan does, but I do love Final Fantasy and many other games they put out over the years. But I got to tell you, man, stuff like this just makes me roll my eyes. Like, man, you guys are missing it. You're missing it.
They just need to let this guy go and find somebody that's more like these guys, these big guys, these big names that are still within the company, but they're the ones that are the directors and kind of guiding the games. They need somebody that's more like that. You know,
I've seen organizations like this where the CEO has a complete misread on why something was successful, or in some cases even why it was not successful, and they make a bunch of big decisions and declarations, and they're stubborn about it, and they won't listen to the people who really have a good understanding of what's happening, boots on the ground.
Right.
Like the best CEOs hire people who know their stuff and they trust them. Because you got to make the decisions at the top. I get it. A lot of pressure on you. Like, I'm not saying that's easy by any stretch. It's hard to get there. I get it. But once you're there, you got to trust your people, and and you can't just look at some like, oh, look at that thing, like you said, the shiny new thing over there. Let's do a lot of that. They're making money over there. We should make money over there. Like, that doesn't mean you should. That doesn't mean you should do that.
you also have the
Agreed.
chance of potentially losing talent. Like people will just leave these developers and go to a different developer. I mean that can happen. So I mean, imagine losing,
I mean, most of them
Yoshida
want to go
or-
work for Microsoft, where you can get hired, get paid a bunch of money, and you don't have to release a game ever.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I often wonder too. It's like games in general are so Western focused in terms of like the audience stuff like now, like way more of Americans, Europeans stuff like that buy games, or like Japanese people play a lot more mobile games stuff like that. Like where I almost wonder, like, is there some kind of cynicism where it's just like, well, only Westerners are playing these games, so I don't know, like there's like, let's just try and get as much money out of them as possible and stuff like that. And it feels like a lot of the soul of some of these Japanese games that we used to love are like, it's not there anymore.
Yeah,
you know
that
what I mean?
definitely could be.
As that industry moves a little more outside of their country. So I don't know. I say that, and I know Switch sales are like incredible over there. So people are saying like,
I think Switch just passed PS4.
It did. Yeah, a couple days ago, it actually
Crazy.
surpassed PS4. It's insane.
Yep. I don't see anyone selling as many as PS2 did. That was a crazy cultural moment too. But you never know. I mean, you never know. But that was 150.
They got a long way to go to catch that
around there.
Yeah.
So, and they're at 107-ish, 108, something like that. Anyway, you never know. Who knows? And I think the DS is also in the 100. Where is that one? 150, 160.
Somewhere
It's up
around
there.
The DS.
I think the DS is 1 and PS2 is 2. And if you don't count handhelds, PS2 is 1, I think. I could be wrong. Anyway, Sega, and I saw this headline with EA as well in a way, but Sega has promised a significant increase in new titles by the end of their fiscal year, which is end of March 2023, including new remakes and remasters of classic games.
Yeah.
We already know about Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio, but EA said the same thing. EA actually said that they're planning a brand new IP as well as a remake this year, and I saw Devolver Digital tweet response to that. Did you see this?
No.
I forget what they said, but I saw
EA said we're going to do a new IP and a remake this year, and they said that would be one of. I forget exactly how they phrased it. It was something like, "What an epic move to create a new IP and then the remake of that same game in the same year." Like it was. It was great. It was great.
It's a very Devolver,
It was it was like, that's true. That would be like the most baller thing ever. And that we put out a new IP and
as
we
they're writing
remade
the
it.
tweet, they're like, "We got an idea for our E3 replacement conference this year."
Can I just real quick for Sega,
Sure.
Because they mentioned what was it, like remakes and remasters? Skies of Arcadia, please, for the love of God, for the love of all that is holy, remake that game, because that game would look gorgeous on like new tech, like. That's
I like
such a
your
fantastic
humble request here. You're talking just a remake and not like a brand new game or whatever. That's totally on the table, I think, because that has an art style that's really easy, I think, to spruce up and stuff like that.
And the concept of it is just so cool, like airships and like just floating around. Like there's no ground. It's just it's these floating islands.
Water world, but like in the air.
Yeah, I never played it, but one of my friends in my
Super
dorm
cool
in
game.
college had a Dreamcast that had that game. I remember watching him play it for a little while. It's a cool game.
Yeah,
Very cool
not
game.
only is there just like the regular kind of turn-based combat, but you're also doing ship combat. So you have cannons on your ship, and like there's that kind of combat too going on. Like, oh, it's so good.
I would, if I had to guess if that game gets any attention, it's going to be in the remaster variety, but I could be wrong. Maybe they will go full remake for that.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'll take
And I would just take a remaster.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't
But
need
a
new
remake
game.
would be super cool.
Or a remake too, even. Yeah,
I'll take a remaster. I don't even care.
Well, guys, Top Gun, the new movie comes out pretty soon, and it actually is getting great reviews. Microsoft Flight Simulator is adding.
Freaking wait for this movie, dude.
There's a free DLC that's going to be added to Flight Simulator with a Top Gun expansion that's going to come out on May 25th, which apparently it's been ready. They just decided to wait because the movie was delayed. So they did.
Several times, yeah. Tom Cruise was very picky about that.
They've delayed the DLC for Flight Simulator to go along with the movie, which of course makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's probably it probably looks like ass now. No, I'm kidding. It's it was delayed.
Yeah, that's the one thing we all know about the Flight Simulator is that it's a game that looks like ass.
Yeah, it's just the ugliest thing.
It's the ugliest game in the world.
Thanks, Dan just threw in a Tom Cruise meme there. Speaking of delays,
so Top Gun, I have to kind of explain my excitement for it. It's purely just from a blockbuster perspective, and how cool the camera shots look, and the flight sequences.
The trailer looks good, man.
Yeah, it does. I don't really care about Miles. I feel like every time Miles Teller shows up on screen, I'm like, all right, you got to prove why you're in this movie, because I'm kind of over your BS.
You got the goose mustache, but why else?
Sure.
But it's funny though, because the first movie I didn't really care about. I didn't grow up with it, so I watched it as an adult, and I was like, that's okay. Like, I mean, the stunts were really cool, but like, it's fine.
It's an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer was at peak Val Kilmer though. I loved Val Kilmer in that movie.
Right,
Yeah.
and checks your mouth or whatever he says.
Dude, when Val Kilmer's in stuff like that, or like
Thanks,
in Willow, or like in The Saint, like I loved peak Val Kilmer. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Top secret Val Kilmer is
Kiss,
unequivocally
kiss,
the best.
bang, bang.
Kiss, kiss, bang, bang. Yes,
Val
dude.
Kilmer is
MacGruber,
excellent.
Dieter von Seaworth.
Oh, MacGruber, yeah, MacGruber.
Come on, Heat, but Heat Val Kilmer.
Absolutely.
No,
yeah.
no
But yeah,
Batman
top
shout out.
secret.
No?
Cannot
Batman.
recommend.
What Dan? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
Batman,
You broke up
Batman,
there.
I can't-
You keep breaking
What?
up. Sorry, man. Yeah.
What's that?
Come on. I mean, better than George Clooney. Come on.
I don't know. I
Nipples Batman.
think they're both equally as awful.
All right, let's
Nipples
stop
Batman,
everything.
though.
We got to do a Batman actor tournament. We're gonna do a bracket. I'm just kidding. We're not gonna do that.
All right,
Yes.
so it goes
Jeff,
Bat-
you were saying
We could make
Top
it
Gun.
quick.
You said Top Gun.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just really pumped for it. I hope there's like a slow indie girl, whatever, emo girl version of Danger Zone in the movie too.
No, I can't. If that exists, I can't. I
I'm
can't.
kidding. I'm surprised I
A
haven't
really breathy Highway to the Desert.
Is Kenny Loggins still alive?
I think so, isn't he?
They should bring back old man Kenny Loggins to perform.
Imagine
Have you guys
that good in the 80s, like at your job, like he Footloose and like Danger Zone, like
Kenny Loggins is still alive. Yes.
There you go. We're bringing back. I assume he's gonna be a better performer than. Have you seen some of the videos people have captured at Bon Jovi concerts?
I was gonna say Bon Jovi. Yes, I've
It's
seen
so
the videos.
sad, man.
It's so awkward, dude. And if you listen, like if you have a musician, I mean, you have a musician's ear.
Dude, he's
those
taking it
songs
down
are
a step
pitched down.
Oh,
by like
so many times.
I would say like two
But
whole steps. Like
I forget. I gotta find the video. Someone actually showed how over the years he's been taking it down like a half step, a whole step, another half. Like over the years,
Bon Jovi.
throughout. Yes, he's been
Oh,
bringing
wow.
his songs down.
because his voice is just a nightmare now. Like
Oh.
So like if somebody like living on a prayer, if that's normally in like B flat or something, he's been bringing it all the way down. Now it's like down to like a E or something. Like it keeps
Gotta hang
coming
it up, buddy. You gotta hang it up.
Yeah, and
and
it's
even
bad.
then he's still like
man.
halfway there.
It's like, oh, please, can we just get there already now?
You
Please?
sound
it's
like
like-
David Bowie, and you didn't start that
like,
way.
it's
You didn't
like
start your career that way.
When I remember standing by my grandpa in church, listening to him sing hymns real loud beside me, like I'm like, no, stop.
Psalms, singing psalms.
Please
They're
stop.
songs, not quite
Songs.
songs.
Yeah,
They're psalms.
Well, listen. Speaking of delays, Bethesda has officially delayed Starfield and Redfall to 2023.
2 games we haven't seen gameplay of at all? No way. Get out
So-
of here.
I understand that these are not surprising to any of us, myself included. I will say, I am I shouldn't say surprised. I'm less surprised about Redfall. Like to me, that's like, of course.
And you and I agreed with this on the chat. Like,
Of course,
I
Redfall's
definitely-
delayed. Like that, I wouldn't be surprised if that game got
I
canceled.
gotta be honest. I
haven't heard anything about it. Yeah.
I don't
So for
remember.
that to get delayed is like that was coming out this year. Starfield had a definitive date on it. We've seen a good amount of like at least still images and conversation around it. So I thought, and it's only because of Fallout 4. I legit thought it was coming this year. Like
I only
I
thought it
was-
was coming this year because the 11/11 date. Like I
Yeah,
was just like,
the
oh, they picked a
solid-
really
the solid date and the fact that Bethesda before has waited to fully reveal a game, let alone give it details on it, for just a few months before release before, right? With Fallout 4.
And they also have no problem putting out a broken game. So if it wasn't perfect by the time it was
Yeah.
released, like let's
So,
put it out.
I
baby.
wouldn't use the word surprise, but I was a little more like, oh, I kind
Yeah.
of thought it was actually going to arrive in November. Okay. So, but in general, my response was less about Bethesda and those two games and more about Microsoft. Where are your games?
Yeah.
Again,
Phil Spencer, remember he made a very like we need to do better. You guys, I'm sorry. We
Yeah.
gotta do better. You know, he had a
They
really
own
heartfelt.
so many studios.
Yeah.
So many.
Jaffe is not accepting that. He is
I
not
love that. David Jaffe is like
He is so
he
mad.
turned into the industry heel like sometime in
Yeah.
20
I
sometime
know.
in 2021 he goes, you know what, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just
I'm the
started
bad
just
guy.
laying down the law to everybody. And like this one I thought was really funny because like I don't know where he got like he has such strong feelings about this. It's so
I
weird.
know.
Like
He
that guy
said
should
Phil
go,
Spencer
you should go
should
see therapy and you suck at your
He said
job.
you suck.
Yeah, you don't know how to manage anything. Like
Dude, it's so
really
funny 'cause-
hard, strong language.
because
you know?
he'll start to make some good points. Like, that's a good point, and then he'll say something like that, and I'm like, never mind. The good point's gone.
Next.
Oh.
Is he Jaffe? Yeah,
Yeah.
like.
I will say about Redfall, I think that's supposed to be Unreal 5. I recall seeing that. So that's
okay.
going to be cool. That
Dude, it's gonna be
watch
so
that
cool.
come out before Starfield.
I know.
Because Unreal 5 is apparently
They
very
made it seem like it was still
development
going to come out Q1 for both of those games, though, right?
They said first half of 2023.
Oh, first half. Okay, that's not.
Yeah.
Q.
I mean, that's the thing with like, because if they're just using like an upgraded version of whatever they used for, I guess what would be Fallout 4 was the last of those between. So,
I think
between Elder Scrolls.
I
And,
think 76
76
was like the last.
oh,
yeah.
okay, sure.
Yeah.
So, but like,
Yeah.
like that engine, which obviously over the years it becomes a meme. You know, just the jankiness and the goofiness of Skyrim or Elder Scrolls. I mean, and
Isn't it
Fallout,
just the same engine but with a 2 at the end?
That's what I
like-
mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
if
it's
it's
like-
that engine, it's like, well, if you're using that, people are probably already expecting that. Yeah. Well, clearly they're it's going to get delayed, or it did get delayed, and the jankiness is going to be
that
right?
leaves 11/11, which is a great date for a God of War game. I'm just throwing that out there. Come on, guys.
It is, yeah.
Make it happen.
which will
Which
not
would
be
be
janky.
which would be excellent, but it's pretty rare that Sony puts out a major first party exclusive holiday season. I don't know why.
It's been a while, yeah.
They don't
It's
do
been
that a
a
lot.
long time, man.
But I would love it. That'd be oh, what a great Christmas
It's
season.
one of
that'd
the
be.
few
Love
games
it.
that hasn't slipped yet that we're expecting to come out, but probably won't if we're all being honest.
Yeah,
with our
I mean,
deep
let's
down
be real.
inside
We're
selves.
probably
I fully
looking at another,
expect a
2021
Horizon type
situation
moment
here.
where, I expect like Horizon Forbidden West, where it's like, guys, we wanted to get this to you this year by holiday. It's going to be February or March or something
So
like that.
when does the marketing campaign begin? Where it's like, like 3 months from now, we're like, if we see one more God of War trailer, I'm gonna lose it, because like Horizon got that way, where I was like, please stop showing this game. Like, we've seen so much of it at this point. You know,
If they nail down the release date, even if it's early 2023, I think we're going to start seeing trailer after trailer for that
I
thing.
see like 20 trailers for that game by the time it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the clown,
Thanks,
Howard.
Todd Howard. Yeah. Appreciate it.
But
bud.
seriously though, this guy needs to stop coming out in his leather jacket like he's the fucking Fonz, being like,
really hate
"Hey, it just
capitalism.
works,
He
guys.
really,
Everything's
yeah,
fine."
dude. It
Like-
just works. It just works. Take a hike, bud. Like,
Yeah, no,
Are
it
you
has
kidding
it for
me?
years.
I'm
It
the
has-
biggest Skyrim fan on earth, I think, and like, get over yourself, big
Yeah,
time.
like-
I just haven't.
Absolutely.
I feel like I haven't seen him in a little while, but I also don't follow Bethesda stuff as closely. But
I don't see. I feel like he hasn't made any public statements since the whole. We have something for you guys. It's a title for Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6. I'm like, would you just cook that up like in the back, like in
right.
Photoshop?
Photoshop.
Someone
And
did that on
everybody
Photoshop
made fun
real
of
quick.
him, and he's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna go. What the guy who made No Man's Sky, Sean something. He's
Sean
like,
Murray.
I think
Sean Murray,
I think I'm gonna go Sean Murray on everybody and just disappear for a little bit.
Yeah,
It
the
worked.
difference is Sean Murray ended up making his game actually pretty friggin' awesome.
Right.
That's a burn.
Say
That's,
what-
that's
they
an
made
uncle.
another
That's
game
an Uncle
that's
Owen
actually
level
pretty
burn
good.
right there.
Yeah, I know No Man's Sky was kind of fun to make fun of back in 2016, but
No
they have
Man's
spent the
Trash,
last.
as Derek would call.
And I agreed. It was one of the more disappointing games that year, but over the last 6 years, that game is amazing now.
It's
it really
evolved.
is.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
I
really
started a new game of it like just last week, and I
Oh.
put a couple hours into it. And it's fun.
It's excellent, man.
Yeah, I
if
really
you like
like
that kind of game, exploration and all that. Kind
I
of stuff.
put like 60 hours into it the first year it came out. I don't. I'm not saying I loved it, but like I put a lot of time into it and I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
I did too.
That was one of my like swimming in sevens where I was like, boy,
When
did I put
I-
a lot of time into this, and it's still
It
not
was one
quite
of
what I
those
want it to
games
be.
where I did beat, like I got all 10 whatever, and then like the game just kind of resets and it's like, now do it again, and I'm like, no, yeah, I'm not doing that at all,
How about
man.
no?
Not gonna do that.
I'm not gonna do that.
I
But
thought
it's
this
just
was-
that there's been so many updates, so yeah.
I thought this was interesting. This would be an interesting step forward in the digital versus physical game purchase realm. And it's been talked about for a little while, but apparently there's a new patent that's officially been filed with Microsoft that could allow physical games to be verified for digital use. So the idea here being, you could buy a physical game, you could verify it, and add it to your digital library. This patent was spotted by Game Rant. So players could use an external disk drive, in this case, of course, Xbox One, or Series S or X or whatever. I guess not S, but X, right? Has a disk drive.
Mhm.
To verify your ownership of the game, then you could play the digital version. Now, because it's just a patent, there's no clarity around hey, so could I just borrow and rent games and add them to my digital collection? How are they going to prevent that? So I don't know if it's a thing where you have to put the disc back in every once a week, or like, I don't know how that works. Like to re-verify ownership, I'm not sure how they're going to do that, or if there's a code associated with it and only one person can use it. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I do think the concept is interesting, because swapping out discs, although I understand the appeal of owning a physical version of the game, it is kind of a hassle when you're used to streaming and or just playing digital versions of everything.
Yep.
So just saying, it's an interesting idea. I wonder if they'll be able to deliver on it.
Yeah, my brain can't wrap itself around the logistics of doing that. Like you buy a new game, you put the code in for digital, and then you can't sell it back to GameStop or whatever. I don't know how you do that. Like I don't.
Well, they probably eventually want to try to phase that. I mean, right? Kind of. They don't really want them to be selling them secondhand. Like that's kind of been a thing for years, right? The back and forth of that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they also, I mean, it could be as simple as what they ended up doing with PC games. I remember when PC games, you still buy a physical
product
PC
key?
game box, but when you open it up, it's just the product key.
It's a freaking code. I remember the first time that happened, like when I bought a game and I didn't know that was the industry change.
Where's the disc?
Yeah, I was like, what the?
Someone steal it?
Where's my DVD-ROM?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see what they do with that one. We already talked about Switch sales passing PS4, which is awesome. Alan Wake Remastered is coming to Switch this fall. It's a cool game. It's one of those things where it's like, if you haven't played it already on one of the many other locations you can play it, and you have a Switch, of course you should play it. It's a really cool game. Nintendo has said, again, one of the many investor call conversations, that they are planning to expand Switch Online throughout this year. And that was really around a big conversation of their concerns with launching their follow-up console, because they've experienced so many trips trying to launch another console after a successful one. So, especially the Wii to Wii U was just such a colossal failure in pretty much every way. And so you can tell they're trying to feel things out. What's the best approach to this? And they have mentioned things like using persistent user accounts to make the transition smoother. They didn't directly say to tie your purchases to it to carry over, but I think that'd be a big step. I mean, Microsoft allowed us to do that with most games, and so did Sony, even though it was a weird process with a lot of games, you could bring those over to PS5.
Switch took a really hard just buy that Wii U game again approach. Yeah, for $60,
wasn't it like $10 extra or something like that? Wasn't there like a added price point if you owned it in the Wii and then you wanted it in Wii U? Wasn't there like a discount? But I forget
there
what it
may have been, but Wii U to Switch did not. Yeah, they totally just repackaged.
Oh no, Wii U to Switch, right? I meant Wii to Wii U. I thought there was.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, that maybe something like that existed, but like that'd be funny if they did that and then totally took a step backwards with the next. That'd be so crazy. Very Nintendo.
If they can figure out a way where I get my Switch 2, whatever that's going to be called. I finally get one. I know it's going to be tough to get. Whatever. That conversation aside, I finally get one. I log in with my Nintendo account. I can go to the re-download section, and there's everything I've purchased on the Switch already. And I can just re-download on my new system. And then they also release games that are only available on the Switch too. Great. That's how it should be. Yeah. So that would be, to me, a smooth transition, and you'd get a lot of people to upgrade. But yeah, we'll see what actually happens there. And so part of that was they want to expand Switch Online, and I don't think that's just with games. I think they want to do it with services and the idea of making your account more robust. I think they are thinking about.
I wonder what that means to them. You know what I mean? Like, because like they're not much of like copycatters or like, hey, let's just follow industry trends and stuff like that. So like, I'm very interested, because like that's a lot of room for Nintendo to do really cool Nintendo stuff, but like, because I like Street Pass on 3DS or regular DS, like the idea
of that. Yeah,
remember that, like just running into each other around, like going to a convention or something weird with a lot of people in a room, and like, oh, suddenly my 3DS or DS picked up other people's Miis, and I can use those Miis to play in mini game,
and then like puzzle pieces and stuff like that. Like that was cool.
You got puzzle pieces, like like that is a very Nintendo way of approaching like near field communication and stuff like that, and it's just like I want to see what their more feels like, because I don't think it means like copying what Sony and Xbox are doing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. I think they look at companies like Apple, and Nintendo's always, in my mind, seemed to least I shouldn't say always. In the last 10 plus years, I feel like they try to copy some of what Apple does. I feel like they lean into that in some ways, at least. And so I wonder if they're looking at, okay, when Apple releases their new phone, how do they do it? And that's really is that simple. You've got your Apple ID and everything that you bought on your previous phone and own and subscribe to. It's all there. You just now have a system that can run it better. And as you release new OSs, it phases out old hardware.
That's just what they need to do. Enough of this. Yeah, this crap in the past of just rebuying the same Mario game like 5 times. Like none of that.
Yeah, let it carry over, and then eventually you phase out the old hardware by making software only playable on the new stuff. That's just how it works.
And maybe stop making mechanical generational gimmicks, that like alienate new generations. So it's like it's hard to bring Wii U games over to the Switch because like for like a lot of games you're missing a lot of like mechanics, as in like having that extra like screen and stuff like that in front of you. So it's like, hey, you're seeing a lot of success like with your joysticks and your 3D Rumble and all that BS or whatever, like maybe just keep that and like only that going forward, because the next time you do like a generational gimmick, just know that's going to be locked on that generation forever, and then you get games like Skyward Sword where you got to like use a joystick to like swing your sword, and it just doesn't make sense, like.
I think it's fine to just make it like a Switch Pro and just have it be like the Steam Deck, like just a powerful like machine, and you can still do your like waggly stuff if you want. Try to hone it even better and make it more like. I think that's fine. I mean, that doesn't seem like a Nintendo thing to do, but
no, it's not. It's anti-Nintendo even. Like, it's the move that I would love to see, to be honest. Like, my Switch is 4K now, and like it plays games that look like modern day games like that. I'd be super into that. So
what'd be funny is at this point with Nintendo, it would almost be a gimmick to not have a new gimmick.
Right. Yeah.
Like what if they just put out the same type of hardware, but just everything's upgraded? Like the motion sensors on the little Joy-Cons are improved, and the system itself way better battery power, processing's amazing, and now we've got these graphics that can hit whatever. So I feel like that would almost be the new gimmick.
4K handheld that's like this big.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it catches on. Like if you as you're playing it, if you set it in your lap, it like brands your legs.
It's so hot.
It's got like instead of like the flip stand, it's got a thing that rests on your belly as you play. It's just like that's
right. It blows like because of the huge fan to keep it cool. It actually blows your hair back.
All right, I have to go take it down. So I'll be right back,
dude. So it would be touchscreen, right? It would be touchscreen, but it'd be like a Wii Fit board. So you'd actually stand on the system, and then
absolutely,
you'd break it, and then you'd have to replace it all.
Dude, can I just say real quick, Wii Fit, the little voice that they added to that, it always hurt my feelings when you stand on there and she would go, "Oh," like as if it was
like, "Oh, you're a fatty."
Right. Yeah, it was
like,
really it was not nice.
I was like, "Bitch."
Yep.
All right, 2 more quick things here. Indie World had a presentation. There's not a ton that they showed. I think Jeff summed it up best when he said, "Oh, so this could have been an email." Yeah, it definitely could have been like an email.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that doesn't mean there's nothing good. I mean, there's Nintendo. I think the Switch and Steam are my 2 favorite places to play smaller indie games. I don't know why. Like it's not like playing them on the Xbox or Game Pass. Sometimes if it's there, I'll play it there. But
it's the exact same for me. I just don't feel they belong on like a PS5 or something. I don't know what it is.
I just don't buy them there. And I mean, if they offered them on PS Plus, I would probably try them there instead. That's just. But so it's a combination of affordability, but also Switch is portable, or something about just playing it quick on Steam. I don't know. There's something about that. That's just my preference. But anyway,
same here.
Nintendo does put out some really cool indie games. I'll tell you the ones that jumped out to me. I won't go over all the announcements. The ones that jumped out to me, the number one far and away is Gunbrella. I think Gunbrella looks really cool.
Yes.
Cool.
I got Owlboy vibes from the visuals. If you guys ever played Owlboy, that game's awesome.
That game is
ridiculously
good.
Maybe even a little bit of Eastward, like that style of pixel graphics.
Just a little bit of smaller, kind of like smaller characters. Yeah, but
yeah, so same with like Owlboy, everyone's kind of like tall and thin. This one, everyone's kind of like shorter and stocky in this game. So, but anyway, very kind of fast-paced action game where your main item is an umbrella that not only can be unfolded for like a shield and for a slide, you can like slide on it, but then of course it also is your weapon. You can shoot.
It reminds me of
like Penguin.
What's the movie with the English dude.
Oh, Kingsman.
Yes, Kingsman. Thank you.
Kingsman, right.
Reminds me of that a little bit, right?
Yeah, I like to think that was the inspiration. That whole fight scene in the bar was the inspiration for this.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, I love
I
that
did
scene.
too. I did
The
too.
church fight. Oh my god.
And I could have missed. I could have, like, because I didn't rewind and rewatch it, but it looked for a moment almost like a DuckTales style bounce, like Shovel Knight does that too. So I don't know if they'll have that or not, but it would fit with the type of item that you're using there. So I thought Gunbrella looked really cool, and it said 2023. So that's a game that I will forget about until it releases. I'll be like, oh yeah.
And they'll be like today or whatever
Yeah,
when they show it again.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll forget about it. I do have to recommend Mini Motorways, although it's probably best on a computer. I thought it's a very fun little Zen kind of, you just connecting these pathways to make sure that all the cars of this color get to the place they need to go to work or whatever. They don't really tell you. They need to get to this building of that color. You're just connecting roads. And then as it gets more crazy, you can add stoplights and little roundabouts. And it does get a little stressful, but it's mostly just relaxing. Let me see how many of these cars I can have arrive before I run out of time. So,
Pass.
I thought it was
Not
fun.
Game Pass, just pass.
Just overall pass. Sure. Cult
Yeah.
of the Lamb looks insanely violent. If you ever played like Conquer and stuff like that, where you've got kind of cute animal creatures that are doing horrible things to each other, like it's got those vibes. Little Castle Crashers-y in the visual style, but very, very violent. It looks like you can actually build a town and upgrade it. It looked like a little village you were building, maybe at one point.
So, because you're building up a cult, right? So
yeah, there you go. And then last one I want to highlight real quick was Another Crab's Treasure. It kind of looked like Sebastian from Little Mermaid, except it's a Souls-like game where you're fighting,
or
like
a Shells-like, right?
Yeah, they called it Shells-like, which whatever. They're having fun with it. You got to give them credit for that. They're trying to have fun with it. I thought that one looked kind of interesting. So any jump out to you guys?
Yeah, Wayward Strand looks like it could be something I really latch onto. It takes place in a hospital, and you are just going around talking to different patients and people that work there and stuff. I think you work for a newspaper, if I'm not mistaken, and there are several threads that you can pull on to kind of unlock some type of mystery or something for each patient or for each doctor, whatever they're dealing with. And it's apparently it's fully voice acted. Hand-drawn animation looks pretty decent. Yeah. It didn't look amazing. That's the only knock I had on it, really. But it looks like the type of game it is, I might end up enjoying. I don't know. It comes out in July, I think.
Yeah, I think if the visuals had been something more along the lines of what was that one called? The Spirit. What was that called?
Spirit Fair.
Yes.
Yeah. Even if it looked like Oxenfree.
Or Oxenfree, right? But like this type of game, like the setting and the kind of like the bright pastel colors they're using, I was like, it's almost like an uglier Spirit Fair. But I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll be a great game. But yeah, that one was kind of interesting. So
that's the only one I had though. They showed a lot. Curse to Golf does look cool, but we just need to see more of it than just in a sizzle reel. That game has a really cool concept of playing golf in hell.
You know, this game that has insane reviews across Steam as well as on Metacritic is Opus: Echo of Starsong. It's a narrative adventure game, and I haven't played it yet. I'm waiting for it because it's been a little more expensive on Steam, just for the type of game it is. It's usually in the 20s, and it's one of those games that I'm like, yeah, get it under 10 and I'll grab it. But anyway, it has incredible reviews, and that's coming to Switch. So Opus: Echo of Starsong. I think it's got like an anime vibe to it. It looks really interesting. I just haven't
anime,
tried.
You say?
Well, at least the art style looks that way. All right, last thing we wanted to make fun of Sony real quick because they're still out of touch in some ways. Their CFO now has backed up the claim that AAA game quality would deteriorate if they adopted a Game Pass style strategy of day one, kind of day and date releases of their first party games. So here's what they say. This is Sony CFO Hikori Totoki has reiterated their beliefs, of course, that we heard from, I forget his name. It was like one of their VPs or something, or maybe it was their American CEO, whoever it was, who already said this before. But they said first party games would decline quality-wise if they were added to PlayStation Plus on day one. Here's the quote. AAA titles on PlayStation 5, if we distribute them on the subscription service, we may need to shrink the investment needed for that. That will deteriorate the first-party title quality. That is our concern. So we want to make sure we spend the appropriate development costs to have solid products and titles be introduced in the right manner. Basically, what he's saying is, if we're going to put them on the subscription service, we're going to lower their budgets. And I don't understand how that makes any sense at all. I just don't. I don't understand it.
Because they're afraid, I guess, of spending that money and then not getting a return on it. I mean,
What I don't
know.
understand is like, if you have the subscription service, they're clearly investing in it, right? Then why would you have to lower your investment in the games you're creating? I don't understand.
Man, that's Dan's favorite thing. It's capitalist logic right there. That's his favorite thing.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know if like they're just like thinking like people
if
are gonna
anything,
sign
make
up for...
make an Uber tier, right? Make a highest tier that's $30 a month that has everything before, but also now you get day and date, games on your service. I don't know. Like, there are ways to make it financially viable if you're determined that we would have to lower our investment in games. Okay, fine. Then find a way to counterbalance that.
I think what they should be saying is we would probably have to take less of a bonus or something instead of immediately going to the investment well.
Or like
the game wouldn't be as good, guys.
So like,
shut up.
So
Yeah.
what's the highest cost tier? Is it 15 a month or?
I forget what it was.
I thought it was 18. I think like 15 I think is the middle. And 10 is like we have now.
Whatever it is. So I'm wondering if like they're literally looking at it so simply as, so let's say $18 a month is the highest one, right? So say they put God of War Ragnarok on their day and date. Maybe they're thinking in their heads like people are going to rush through this game, pay $18 instead of the $60 or $70. And that's it. They got to play this game that normally out of pocket would have been 60, 70. They're only going to pay us 18. So like we're losing all that money.
Cancel maybe.
And then exactly, and then cancel it. So maybe I'm wondering if that's what they're thinking. I'm wondering if they're thinking.
Possible.
No, man. I haven't canceled Game Pass once. I don't know.
Neither have I.
And that's what I think. I think that they think they can get $18 out of everybody on the promise of old games and get your $60 for new games. You know what I mean? A month. So I think it's a very selfish, weird, and this is like a weird way of projecting like their innocence on us. Like, well, if we give you what you want, what you're asking for, you'll get worse games.
Anyway, here's an email about my dog. I love my dog.
Yeah, it's just I
mean, honestly, they're acting like there's a finite thing, and if you take some out of here, it's gonna have to come out of over here. And I'm like, you don't have to look at it that way. It really truly doesn't have to be that way.
They want your $60 and they want your $18 a month. That's what it is. Like to me.
And that's totally fine. Although I do feel like that means that whoever is in charge of their subscription retention or defining lifetime value of these subscription customers is not speaking up loudly enough in these meetings. So I'm like, are you going to really tell me that you think a singular game purchase is somehow worth more than getting someone signed up for a subscription? That data will, I'm guessing, tell you they're likely to stay subscribed for X number of months.
I bet you they get 2 or 3 times the amount of people subscribing than they do people who buy games every. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's say
so.
So I don't know. I feel like your
imaginary
guy like who's sitting on the board not speaking up like he should be and be like, actually, if we give God of War away, we'll probably increase our subscription rates by 2 times the amount. And now there's
got to be some basic lifetime value things there, right? Like the average PlayStation 5 owner buys these many games a year, and the average subscriber generates this much.
They have that data. It's
got to be there, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like Microsoft did all the studies for them. Like, just look at Game Pass's. Like,
something poor
retention.
Jeff. Something. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just saying things because I don't like Xbox. Something. I don't know.
Something.
Dude, I'm telling you, when you approach it with an open hand, and I know people criticize Microsoft. Oh my gosh, they're idiots. They're losing money only because they can. And okay, fine, if you want to make that argument.
Probably.
But they approach this whole thing with an open hand for the last several years, and
without any first single title.
And they've essentially they've brought us all in, and now we're all just sitting here in the box that they've baited, and they're just it's gonna trap us in a way that but we don't even know it. We're like frogs in the boiling water, like slowly turning it up, and we don't know that they're locking us into a subscription. Now I've been subscribed to Game Pass. I don't know how many, a long time.
It's been a long time. Yeah, it's been several years for me.
Sometimes there's a couple months where I don't play my Xbox at all.
Dude,
they still got my $12 or whatever it was.
I probably paid them more money than I would have if I would have just hand selected games that I want to spend full price on or waited on the sale on. I probably have given them more money.
I think so too. Yeah.
And that's just, that's thing.
Maybe Sony should invest in I don't know, creating an OS as well or whatever, because I feel like that makes probably still.
With how good that they are at making movies, right? Like, I'm sure they'll do great in that field. So,
yeah,
right, Venom, right, Kraven the Hunter, right. right?
Venom made
Madam
money
Web.
somehow.
Morbius would like a
They
word.
do, yeah. Morbius is actually
Hey
in the
man,
top 10.
in
but
Morbius's
Morbius is
defense,
actually in the top 10 box office of the year right now. So.
All right. There you go.
actually, Morbius is
people
the
win
only
some.
movie to make more $1 billion.
Oh Jesus.
More
Yeah.
$1 billion.
I get it. I get it.
Did this there, yeah.
I get it. And that there's no better way
Also,
to.
it's the only movie with Morbius in it, so I mean, it's got that going for it.
That is true. Oh my gosh.
Morbius is such a meme. It's such a meme. It's so great.
It's a problem for a lot of reasons.
I still haven't seen it.
It's a plague, is what it is. Yeah.
Wait, Jeff, you haven't on your super secret subscription downloadable service. You haven't found it
my
there
direct
yet?
link to Hollywood has not given me
Oh, interesting.
a copy
Okay.
of Morbius yet.
All right. Well, let me know if that happens.
Mr. Hollywood.
You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta call Jared Leto. He'll
Oh, speaking of movies
he'll be fine with that. Yeah, he doesn't
speaking of
watch
movies
his
that Jeff
so-
talked about recently, it was several episodes ago now, I guess. It all blends together. But you talked about The Lost City, which is now on Paramount Plus, which we're gonna watch this
Oh, that's
weekend.
on a streaming service. Wow, they put it on
Yeah.
Paramount Plus. That surprises me.
Yeah.
That's a really entertaining movie.
Yeah, so we're gonna
I
watch that
definitely
this
recommend
weekend.
that one. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not gonna it's not complicated.
I'm just gonna expect
it's a
something like
simple,
Red
entertaining
Notice, and I think I'll have fun. If
Yeah.
I expect something like that, I think I'll enjoy it.
It's way better than Red Notice.
Good.
Yeah.
Great. That's what I'm gonna expect. Red
Yeah.
Notice, and if
Okay.
it's
Keep
He's-
expecting
he's-
that because I expected it to be pretty bad, and it was great.
there you go. There you go. Also, of course, there's a new trailer for. It's a teaser for Avatar: The Way of
Yeah,
Water.
nobody said anything in the trailer. Yeah.
He says something about his family being his fortress.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
My family, we're still blue and really boring.
And then
Yeah.
Vin Diesel shows
I was
up.
gonna
He's like,
say,
did
is
someone
it-
say family? Yeah.
I was gonna say, is
And then that director quits that movie. And, he's like,
and then the
If-
word Avatar turns into Arc 2. Avatar becomes Arc.
and then it becomes Arc 2. I love it.
Arc
This is a really big Vin Diesel journey we're going on.
I would love it.
Look,
If they somehow
I
worked
think-
Vin Diesel in, I would be amazed.
I think
That'd be
it should speak volumes. Like Kyle and I talked about Doctor Strange 2 last week. We, among the others that went to see Doctor Strange in the opening weekend, were the first ones to see the Avatar 2 trailer, and we didn't talk about
No.
Yeah.
it. It should speak volumes.
I actually couldn't wait to not talk about it. To be honest. So,
Yeah, I think even as someone who I have a casual interest in Avatar, I've never been in an argument where I've been like, "This movie's great, you guys are idiots," and I've never been in a conversation where I'm like, "This movie's trash. What's wrong with you for liking?" I'm very middle of the road on this movie.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's
I
entertaining.
don't even think
fine.
Kyle and I think it's trash. It's just
Yeah,
the fact that people hype it up so much.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I watched the trailer and I was like, this almost looks like a fan-made one that they use clips from the first movie to pretend like
Yeah,
it's the trailer
That's
for
what
the
I thought it
second
was.
one.
Yes.
Yeah, like when you're watching it, it's like, is this a recap? I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't seen some of these scenes before.
So it's
And,
pretty.
Maybe I have like rose-tinted glasses or something. When I look at it, I go, yeah, it still looks like a CG. Like like it
Well,
just. it's
Yeah,
still-
that's what I mean. It's like
looks
when
a
you
little
think of
better,
it's like
but
when some people are like thinking about like older games and
Yeah.
trying to compare them to newer games. Like the visual I'm telling you that there are going to be some differences. I think if you go back
Oh,
and watch that now,
For sure.
the older
Yeah,
one.
no.
compared to
I'm
the
not
newer
saying it
ones.
doesn't like look any different. I'm just saying like I'm surprised 12 years didn't service more differences.
Sure.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like this is a PS3 to PS4 jump, not a PS2 to Xbox. PS3 jump.
Listen, if you
like-
and I'm not going to watch it closely, but if you did, I would be shocked if there aren't some very detailed differences with like the just the
Water, probably.
overall quality and the water,
water stuff,
probably
yeah.
the way of the way
water's
of
probably
water.
gonna be real.
I've
you know?
heard that the water was incredibly difficult to CG.
Yeah.
Because real water doesn't exist. I guess I don't know.
the way of water. And so
I wish I could love anything as much as James Cameron loves water. It's just crazy.
He
how
does love
much.
Yeah, I wish I could love
But
anything as much as people. love
obviously
Avatar,
this
so.
movie, the teaser was making sure we knew that there was lots of water there, and I was really hoping for a shot of what's the lady's name from Titanic who's on the board at the
Oh.
door at the end. I
84
hope she's like
years.
floating.
She's like
Rose?
Floating there.
Kate Winslet's in the movie.
Oh,
She is in the movie.
she's in Avatar too.
She's one of the Navi characters. I can't believe I remember the race of the freaking.
So she's wait. I was
So
hoping
mad.
she would. I was
Avatar
hoping
fan.
she would replace Giovanni Ribisi as the unobtainium person.
Oh, God.
Oh boy.
No, she
Yeah, you
plays
really
like,
love that word,
She
huh?
plays like I looked it up. She plays like a somebody in a different tribe that's
Oh,
on that
okay.
planet.
Okay. Well, we'll
So
see.
we don't really get to
Savage-
see her like at all.
So I after our little conversation in the chat, I was trying to figure out how much the theme park of Avatar made since it's been open.
Okay.
No numbers listed. 3 or 4 years this
Wow.
park has been
Ooh,
open, and
That means not a
Disney's
lot.
yeah. To me as well, Disney's like, we're not gonna release the information.
That park is
for-
that section of the park though. The last time we went to Disney, like
Mhm.
the wait times of the rides were like the longest of any ride.
So that's the thing is that
Insane.
the rides in that park, especially one specific one when you're on a glider, is actually
yeah.
one of the most sophisticated
Right,
rides ever
right.
created. So like a lot of people do go, but in terms of like people who go there to get like the merch and like the specific
Okay,
food,
sure,
because it's
sure.
part of the same park. I don't think you pay extra to get in or anything like
No,
that.
it's in
It's
Animal
part of
Kingdom.
Disney. Yeah,
It's in
exactly,
Animal
exactly.
Kingdom.
So
Yeah.
it's like you pay just one price to get in, but in terms of how much revenue that section of the park makes,
Sure.
like they don't list.
Did
those
they do that for
numbers.
other sections?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Star Wars, probably.
Happily,
Yeah.
happily, yeah. They'll
Hmm.
if it's a success, Disney loves. They'll be like, look how many billions of dollars we just
I love
made."
that they're like Marvel makes 20% and Star
Yeah.
Wars makes 22% and Avatar's over there.
Yeah, and
and-
Avatar exists. Yeah.
Aw,
And
poor little
Avatar's
Avatar.
also here. Yeah.
I love that. That's fantastic.
But no, but to be fair, like those rides, like, specifically the glider one, is like
Yeah.
one of the
Dude.
most sophisticated experiences that the engineers have ever
I
put
hadn't
together.
heard that. I gotta look
Or
it up.
Imagineers.
The wait time when we were there, I think it was around 4 hours. It's like no,
Yeah.
no. I'm not waiting 4 hours to ride like a 10-minute. That's insane. That's insane.
Disney's revolutionary. Like they're making lines like non-existent almost anymore. Like we're actually like you, and not every ride's like this, but if you go up with your phone, you check into a queue and you just screw off until you get paged. And I'm like, if that's the future of theme parks, like we're.
But that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Disney can
That
let
makes
in.
me
Their
wanna go to
capacity
one,
is
yeah.
huge, so it still takes. It's gonna take you a while to.
Yeah, you'll probably be waiting all
So
day,
they're-
but you can.
So
you
you're
can
saying they're
queue up-
finally using the same technology that restaurants have been using for a couple decades now. Cool.
Yeah, Tim, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's pretty much what it is. It's like, oh, my little buzzer rang. I can walk up to the front now.
Because you're not spending money if you're in line, so like it behooves you
Right.
to like be out walking around buying a candy apple or
Sure.
a beignet or
Dude,
whatever.
I
Green
always-
milk or whatever.
I would
Green
always
milk
spend
or
money
whatever,
on the overpriced carts that they would set up by lines. Like Kings Island, we used to go, and like if you wait for a really long line for a roller coaster that you really want to ride, if they would happen to have like a Dippin' Dots or one
Right
of
in the
those
middle of
types
your line?
things- Dude, they
Dude.
would have them. Sometimes they could place them right beside the line. Everyone walks by it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always buy it.
Oh,
So I
if
just-
there's Dippin' Dots in a 3-hour line, bud, I'm getting some Dippin' Dots for
I
sure.
just I hate
Yeah.
waiting in line so much. I
I do
cannot
too.
stand it.
That's
cannot
why
stand
I
it.
rode. I remember the last time I was at Six Flags, probably in my 20s. But last time I was at Six Flags was here in Texas. We have a ride for called Mr. Freeze, and that
Wonderful
line.
roller coaster.
That once they open
Everybody
that line is almost non-existent because it's just woo and it's done. Okay, get out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
very quick ride, but boy, it's
It's the
something.
fastest line.
So,
There's like no
It
line. They
shoots
have a
you from
Dippin'
0 to
Dots right
70 miles per hour in like 2.3 seconds, and then
Yeah.
like you,
And then that's
like you
it.
just flip everywhere, and that's
there. And I
it.
think the way it's designed allows two to go at the same time, but
Oh, okay.
they kind of make it go
Dude, that's why
like as you're
places
coming
like
down, another one just shoots out. You know,
Yeah.
that's why places like Cedar Point are the most bang for your buck because there's so many good roller coasters at a place
Mm.
like Cedar Point. It's just, I mean,
Yeah, but
it's one of those areas of the world. Like, why would you ever go to Cleveland, Ohio,
Yeah.
or that area? But like, dude, that park. If you like roller coasters, that
I'm
place
a
is great.
roller coaster
Right.
aficionado. I'm a huge, like, such
yeah,
a huge
dude,
fan.
I've know the roller coasters at our Six Flags over Texas. Like
We have some of the best in the country too. Just
for
FYI.
real, the
Yeah,
Titan
just-
is.
yeah. The
is
Titan is like
just-
one of the greatest steel coasters ever created. I've
Yeah.
watched so many roller coaster I'm such a roller coaster nerd.
So
Yeah.
Kings Island, which is down in Cincinnati near where I grew up, we went there. We used to get season passes, so I was there a lot. It was at one point owned by Paramount, and so everything was Paramount themed. So
Oh,
all
that'd
the
be fun.
rides had movie themes to them.
Yeah.
Of course, it was eventually bought out by, I forget, some big amusement park, whatever umbrella company who just kind of generically renamed everything. So
What's
that
that
was a
New
bummer.
Jersey park that was like famous for injuries? Is it were they bought out by
Oh,
them?
Action Park?
Yeah, Action
Dude,
Park.
Action
Park.
yeah.
Action Park.
Yeah,
But I
so
remember
good,
like
yeah.
they had this one ride that now I just think it's called like Jet Force or something, but that used to be Top Gun, and the whole thing was
Yeah.
very Top Gun themed. They would play the music, and so I remember one of the last rides they added before Paramount was no longer the owner was Face Off. They added a Face Off ride.
Oh, what?
Stop it.
Yeah,
I'm
sick.
serious.
They got doves and
So
stuff.
I'm not kidding. So it was actually
I
a
hate
relatively
this.
short ride, but like you get on, it's one of those feet dangling roller coasters, right?
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
overhead
yeah.
style.
Not
So
a
you
huge
get
fan
on,
of
but
those,
like
yeah.
you're sitting back to back, so you're facing someone. Like so
Oh
you're
my
looking
God.
at
Oh, cool.
someone, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it was back to back. So you picked, do you want to run forwards or backwards? It actually didn't matter because you go up this roller, the thing that overhangs, and then you go do a couple flips, couple corkscrews, whatever, and then you get to the end where you go up, and then you go the other direction. So whichever
Yeah.
direction you picked, you're going to go frontwards one way or backwards the other way.
Yeah,
Because
what part during the ride did
Face
your
off.
face come off? Like
the
literally.
entire time. the
Well, I
entire
heard
time.
when actually the roller coaster shoots off, it goes, "I hate to watch you leave, but I love to watch you go," just like
Yeah.
John Travolta does in the
Actually,
movie. So.
as you leave the
I don't get
the
it,
ride,
and I
Nicolas
hate it.
Cage goes, "I could eat a peach for hours." That's
Actually,
what he
Yeah,
says.
absolutely.
God
yeah.
damn it.
The park,
I hate
the,
this
the
ride.
park
I hate it.
attendant goes up to each individual person and goes like this to their face.
Oh yeah,
Totally,
it touches your face. They say, "Hey, everybody, this is pre-COVID. Water falling someone's
Yeah,
face was
right,
okay.
right,
It was
right,
okay.
yeah.
Just
Water
go,
falls.
and you're safe, and you're
Yeah,
good.
dude, like they used to have like all kinds of James Bond themed stuff. Like it was fun when it was Paramount.
I'm super into that. I heard about that, and then like one day, because then everything had to kind of like pseudo rebrand because
Yes.
they couldn't use the.
And then
proper name.
there were
Yeah.
certain things they would have licenses for that were still kind of like,
Sense.
oh, I recognize like Nickelodeon or something over here. But for the most part, it went back
Yeah.
to very, very generic. But it was still fun.
So yeah, like the Mr. Freeze type ride, I remember reading about how I think it's like a 15-second ride. Is that some right?
Oof.
Jeez.
15,
That's
20-second
fast.
ride. So yeah, whenever I would go to Six Flags, especially when I got the courage to finally do roller coasters with loops in it, that one I would ride it like 4 times. I'd just be like, God, everything has a line. Let's just go to Mr. Freeze again because you're just in and out. Like you're.
Yeah.
It also broke down all the time because it was.
It did. I remember
a,
it being closed a few
very
times. I visited.
sophisticated like roller
Yeah.
coaster, but
And
So-
it's right next to the Batman ride, which is the feet dangling one, and I freaking
Yeah.
hate that ride because my head's just like this the whole time.
Yeah,
So
that's-
Kings
Oh,
Island
love
famously
Batman. Ugh.
famously Kings Island has one of the most popular like wooden roller coasters called the Beast. It's like their claim
Oh,
to fame.
we have a
The Beast,
Texas Giant.
I know that ride. Yeah.
And so the
We have
Beast
a
is
Texas
actually
Giant,
still
which is like a 4-minute ride.
Yep.
yeah.
Texas
So the
Giant.
Beast is also it's one of those kind of similar, like 3.5, 4 minutes long. It's like a
Yeah.
very lengthy ride. It gets very fast. And if you go at nighttime, you know, the rumor was as a kid, we always be like, if you go at night, the tracks have been warming up all day, so it's faster. You know, like that's probably not true.
Oh, I love it. I love this
But-
like fake roller
so
coaster
funny.
lore.
we
I
would
love
we
it,
would
yeah.
tell each other that and believe it with our whole hearts, like
Yeah,
without
sure,
a
sure,
second.
Yeah.
Yes, it's faster at night. But what was cool was the first hill actually it was very like down into the forest. There was a foresty area where the ride goes through, and so at nighttime it was pitch black. There's no lights at all, so it's very dark, and that kind of gave it a spooky feel. It's also wooden, so everything feels very shaky, and so
Yeah.
something about that was cool. So they made this ride called the Son of Beast, which was like a 5+ minute ride. It was massive, the biggest drop, the fastest speeds, and it was the first wooden roller coaster with the loop in it. Right, you just have the
Oh,
lap
jeez.
bar. That's all
Oh,
you've
no,
got.
thank you. How
Oh,
the
Yeah,
hell?
that's terrifying.
That sounds awful.
I rode it a couple times. I thought it was fine. It actually hurt your hips a lot. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It was
bet.
sliding around a lot.
Yeah.
And so it was okay, but it was an uncomfortable ride. And from what I heard, someone got hurt on it. So it's the first time I've ever seen
Yeah.
them completely dismantle, and it was just gone. I remember one summer we went back, and the Son of Beast, which was it was like one of those
Wow.
landmark things you can see from the road. It was just gone. Like it was.
I remember it being news here when the Texas Giant, because they used to have like not wood rails. Something about the rails was different, and it made the ride more like shaky because wooden roller coasters tend to be like that naturally. So they replaced the rails with like steel rails, and it made everything super smooth, and that was like news here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there was another one called the Racer, which when Paramount had it, that was Days of Thunder. So everything had a theme to it.
Oh,
It was
that's fun.
It was great.
We had one
have
called
the
the Roaring
Titan here.
Rapids that like killed like 6 people, and
Oh,
then
Jesus.
when it reopened, they used that as the marketing. They're like the ride that murdered 6 people. Get on it again, and I'm like, that's a weird flex. Like
They just call it the murder ride or something. Like,
But yeah,
Oh
we
yeah,
can talk-
they had one that was the Twilight Zone, and so the whole thing there were these TVs that were like telling you a story of what
Hey,
this
just like in
spaceship that
Disney.
you're going into.
Tower
It was
of Terror.
very Disney-like. It was
Yeah.
good. Like
Tower of
it
Terror
was
is basically
cheesy, but it was
Twilight
good.
Zone.
We have Runaway Mountain, which is in a dark It's a roller coaster. It's a steel coaster that's in the dark completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Titan that you were bringing up is really good too.
Dude, the Titan is insane. That's like the tallest.
Titan's one of the greatest roller coasters
and
made.
the steepest drop. Like the fact
It's
like a 3-minute ride, but
it's
most
based
of it
off
is
of the
you going up.
Goliath. It's based off the Goliath in I think it's Magic Mountain. It might be something else like in LA or whatever.
Yeah.
But like they one upped it because it's Texas. So like, oh, we made it like 2 meters bigger. You know?
Yeah.
But it's like the same roller coaster, and dude, it has got like the steepest drop. It's so good. It's got a corkscrew where if you lean your head back just perfect, like you'll totally black out.
And then you land in a big vat of barbecue sauce at the end.
And at the very end of it, everyone throws their cowboy hats in the air and shoots their guns.
Yeehaw!
That coaster rules, man. I love
the Titan is like my favorite roller coaster.
Yeah, I love the steep drops that like they have to make it. They make it so steep that they have to. Well, I guess we got to dig into the ground for this.
They have to dig into the ground because it's too steep.
You have to
stop
go,
before.
like through the ground to come back out the other side.
Dude, there's something about that feeling when roller coasters get it right, where you go over the crest of the hill and you start to wonder, like, am I going to continue to curl underneath? Because it just feels like it's still.
Yeah.
Like, it's like how much more steep
the Titan, especially when it's going up, I feel like that's like 75% of the ride because it's just for like 3 minutes. It's
dude,
and then when are you at the top yet? Are we going over? What's going on? Nobody's screaming. It's like a long pause at the top.
Surprisingly, SeaWorld in Florida has some roller coasters, and there's some really good ones. Like Manta is actually really good.
SeaWorld's known for some good roller coasters.
Yeah, like the Manta one.
I don't know if they have one here. Do they have any here, Kyle?
SeaWorld? Or?
They do, but their roller coasters aren't as good as some of the ones like that are in LA and Florida and stuff like that. So specifically Florida.
There's one specifically, I forget what the newest one is called at SeaWorld. I was trying to check it. Mako? No, not Mako. Well, whatever. It's the tallest roller coaster I think in Florida. And yeah, it's got one of those drops where it's pretty much flat. And I remember when
where your body's like this. In the
and
air,
my wife and I and my sister
like this.
were on it, and I legitimately started cackling because, like, just it was so it was like terrifying visually, just the like and the sensation.
Have you guys seen any of like
what a way to die?
Have you seen any of the TikTok or YouTube videos or whatever of people doing stone face, like looking back at a camera during roller coaster? I was trying to do that with my friends since way before that. Like I was on the Titan at the drop. The Titan gets your picture at the drop at the the bottom, I think, or close to the bottom. And I'm just like, I'm not even.
Once we learned where the cameras were on the ride, you like point at it,
dude,
you know. Or
I get the thumbs up. I get the thumbs up every time. Every time my wife's like, "How do you know?"
You don't want to be the guy who's caught going like, "Oh."
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's so funny watching the videos and they're like turned around looking at their friend just like this the whole time, and their bodies like being jerked around by the coaster. It's so stupid.
Yeah, I do remember when it was actually a friend of mine. Their mom bought a pic. You know, you could buy an overpriced picture of the roller coaster ride. So she bought the one of them in it, not realizing the people behind them were flipping the bird to the camera. It was so funny.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was pretty great. That was pretty fantastic. All right. Well, we're way over time, but that was fun. A lot of good stuff to talk about.
But what a throw ride! We just
what a roller coaster of an episode. Am I right?
If you're wondering of what to do while you're waiting in these lines for these long rides, listen to our podcast. It's about as long as it takes
absolutely.
So,
we have the least game news and least games that we're playing ever, and this is the longest podcast last 2 weeks in a row.
Or maybe you can watch.
We have never had less to say.
You can watch Daniel here. I'm going to start streaming soon, potentially.
I love it. Right. I love the whole idea of that. So.
Yeah,
do it.
We'll do some streaming.
Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you all for listening or watching. Talk to you later. Bye.